transcending history and the world, a tale of souls and swords eternally retold.
What up, guys? How are we all doing today? No, that song was not from Soul Calibur. It's from Bleach, but I thought I'd put that up because tomorrow we're doing the Soul Calibur stream, so I thought might as well let everyone know that's here that didn't know about it. Tomorrow we'll be doing the Soul Calibur stream, so we're still waiting for Tom to get here. Now, I have questions for Tom. I have questions for him. Specifically, I want to know what the hell his Twitter posts are about. Oh, I think he's here now. Right, let me add him into the call. Yeah, that's the final Get Sugar theme from Bleach, but I thought it went well with Soul Calibur, so... as always, guys, if you guys want to ask Tom questions, then at some point we'll get you guys on. You just gotta let me know and I'll add you in from Twitter. But let me add Tom to the call. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Can you hear me? Hold on, let me adjust my audio here a little bit.
Yeah, we can hear you. Sound good.
I can... There we go.
Yeah, you sound good.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, all clear. Perfect. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing all right, man. Just been busy, good. Up and down constantly. But
hey.
I think a lot of people have been looking forward to this topic.
Yeah, I actually got the idea when I saw your everything happened with Tekken, and people were like, of course, looking who to blame. Is it VDX? Is it Main Man? Is it whatever? And I heard what Era said, with like, what do you think is going to happen? What happens when this is your livelihood, how you feed your family, and then they create a really bad version of it? What do you do?
Yeah.
It's a job. It's no different than something happens at work. This is how you feed your family. You just can't say, screw this, I'm walking out, right? You need to get another job, before you do that, because this is how your family survives.
Before we get into that, I need to ask you.
Yeah.
What is going on with your Twitter right now? Every time I sign on, I'm like, well, what is Tom doing?
It was an accidental social experiment.
Right, okay.
So I'm not here to say whether I am or am not being disingenuous, because one way or the other, you always lose, right? So let's just say I'm speaking how I feel about the game, right? Best game ever. However, I noticed a couple of things. Two things I noticed is, one, even if people read what I say and they say, Tom's just flat out wrong. He's wrong, right? He's wrong. Things may have gotten better, but we still don't like the cameos. We don't like blah, 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 whatever, right? They look at the replies. When I was critiquing the game and criticizing things, now keep in mind, when somebody says like, oh, the game is more alive than ever and it's a low turnout or nobody watching, and we say, well, wait a minute, look at the numbers here. We're not bashing the game. We're not saying the game is bad, shit, trash, worthless, scrubby. We're saying, according to the data, that's a dubious claim, and we try to go into reasons why that are. That's what I used to do. Like, why are people not happy? Why don't they like the game? Why is the game that's selling so well not doing that? When I was doing that, people would come to me privately, or they'll come into your chat or whatever, and they'll say, "Yeah, Tom, or they'll DM me, gotta let them know, Tom, you gotta let them know," because it's away from the eyes of the community, right? Mm-hmm. However, on Twitter, they'll be like, "Yeah, crybaby," or they'll say nothing, right? Now, in me talking positively about the game, there are plenty of people that come out and say, "Hell yeah, Tom, glad you're loving it." So I notice when you talk positively, even if everyone and their brother that's reading this thinks, "What's Tom smoking? What's he on?" The amount of support you get is obnoxious. Mm-hmm. And when you're critiquing the game, nobody wants to be seen as that guy. Matter of fact, people that agree with you critiquing the game will say, "Why are you crying, bitch? Really, do you gotta bring us down again?" And they agree with you. So what I notice is when you critique the game, even the people that agree with you will absolutely crap on you the whole time, which is why I took my videos down. Because for what? I was videos of me critiquing the game in which even the people say they agree with privately in public, no, you're crying, you're complaining, yada, 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 yada. But when you're being positive about the game, there's so much support, which is how this crybaby, if you're critiquing the game, even if you're right, and you're a beacon of hope and light if you're being quote unquote positive on the game. That's how this started. And I just noticed that the positive side has so many people that come out like an army to support them. And then the side that we thought we were speaking for, those people shit on us as much as the other side. So it was like, I just noticed the difference. But when you're critiquing the game, when you're not critiquing it, when you're like, "Hell yeah, everything's great, it's awesome," they're like, "Hell yeah, enjoy that shit." I also noticed who created the two sides. It was the quote unquote positive ones. What I've noticed is, and this is the most important thing, since I've been positive on the game on Twitter, the people, a lot of times people will say, when we were critiquing it, "Oh, Mike and Lou and Tom, they're the face of hate of MK." Even though to us, we weren't hating, we were talking about legitimate issues. Now, these positive people had no problem, quote unquote positive ones, come after us, call us out, whatever. Since I've been talking positive about the game, the people on the side that they claim is so negative, they haven't come at me at all. They haven't said, "What are you doing, Tom? The game is shit. The game's ass." Well, they say, "Good for you, man. Do you, man? I'd love to see you happy." What I've noticed is that when people are being positive, the quote unquote negative side, they don't come after you. They will over here talk about their opinions. Like, you can talk over there about yours. I'm going to talk over here about mine. But it's the positive the side that I'll say, "Look at these people over there. They're the problem. They're killing the game." Why? Because it takes the blame off everything that's going on. If these people over here would just shovel it in their throat like we did, it'd be fine. So what happens is the positive, quote unquote positive side oftentimes declares war on this other side, and they deem people crybabies, complainers, etc. However, when you're talking positive, the other side doesn't headhunt you and seek you out. Instead, the comments I'm getting are, "Love to see you happy," et cetera, et cetera. In fact, the only backlash I got since getting positive on the game has been from the other side claiming to be positive, telling me I'm not allowed to cross sides and be on the positive side. The sides, the quote unquote, the war between both sides is caused by the people claiming to be positive. It's really two sides of people who want the best possible game. The problem is the people who claim to be positive and sunshine and rainbows are the ones declaring the war. You critique the game, you're a bitch, a crybaby, complainer, everything negative is associated with you. Why? Because they said so. However, if people are over here being positive on the game, the people over here, you do your shit, I'll do my shit over here, they don't cross over. But the positive side of the one that sends the army after you. So I just noticed a lot of the problems and toxicity comes from a side whose livelihood depends on the game and they are declaring war on people that would affect that. And so all the bad shit in fighting games comes not from the quote unquote negative side. Why are they even considered a negative side? Because the positive side made a negative side. That's why. We're all on the same side. There is no positive or negative side.
So
as long as that's going on, yeah.
Have you? Is that the end of your social experiment? Then did you kind of get what you wanted out of it?
No, I'm loving the game, Mike. What can I say?
How many hours have you put in?
Oh man, every day, almost 24 hours a day, man. I almost never sleep, man.
All right, well, let's move on to like the main topic, what you wanted to discuss today.
Yeah.
About monetization in fighting games, and I think like some people were asking me what you meant by that. If you were talking about YouTube monetization, or if you're talking about stores or like microtransactions.
Monetization meaning people's ability to privately make money off fighting games. So there was a time when, for example, Tekken 4 came out. Nobody was making money off YouTube money. There was no YouTube back then, or streaming money off Tekken 4. It was not well received with the community. They wanted more traditional Tekken, like you had Tekken the way it was all the way up until Tag 1. And then they released like, what is this, right? Here's this new version of Tekken, which many people say, and you've heard this, Mike, it's not Tekken, right? People have said Tekken 4 is not Tekken. So, and in fact, I remember the last Evo for Tekken 4 was myself, Jop, EP, Jin Kid, and Tran. Tran who won the one Evo, Jin Kid who won the one, Tran won the other one. But the Evo that Tran won, we're all sitting there and we're like, man, just send Jin Kid and Tran. We'll send them there to that tournament, have them clean it up, and like we're done. We're ready for the next Tekken. You know what I mean? To get. And that's kind of what the feeling was of the whole community, which is why Tekken 5 had such an explosion. Despite everything bad people say about 5.0, 5.0, especially very early on, was extremely well received. Because to a lot of the Tekken legacy community, it was like, thank God we're out of Tekken 4. The reason for that is people's gripe with Tekken 4 got heard. You know, on forums like Tekken Zaibatsu or any other form of public consumption of knowledge, right, that people could read. There was no social media like Twitter or anything. Had there been the era that we had today, half of those people who were like community leaders who are like, no, people don't like this, would be saying, yeah, we love this shit. This is the greatest thing ever. Why? Because their livelihood would depend on it. Mortal Kombat 9. Mortal Kombat 9 didn't have a lot of the set play, and now it had bugs and glitches. Cyrex, they couldn't fix that. Smoke, they tried to, they couldn't fix those resets because of how the game was coded. So they had issues that they would have loved to fix, that the limited coding they did of the game, how it was kind of held together by duct tape, made that impossible. However, what they did listen to is the people in the 3D era who, when it came to competitive gameplay, did not want the 50-50s over and over and over again. For an online casual party game with friends, that was okay. But for a game that was going to be on the main stage of major tournaments, that's not what they wanted to play. And the FGC as a whole were making comments like, oh my God, the next MK, it's probably going to have infinites and all 50-50s, etc. This was not lost on NetherRealm. And I know because I was there during testing of MK9. And these kind of things were said, like they were very conscious to not put a lot of these in the game. Had streaming been big like it is today, people would be saying, oh, these, and people were making money off it. I don't think that the critique would have been so universally talked about by the community. There was a time, and not always, because sometimes, you know, there was a point where developers couldn't get any information from the community. But there was a time right before the age of monetization when people would discuss the problem and more people than not would agree and try to get this information to developers for the better of the game. And there are many examples you see of developers improving the product. You know, 5.0 quickly went to 5.1 and then DR. And that's because 5.0 came out. It was well received at first, and people were like, no, this is too much, this is too much, this is too much. and then that was received by Namco, and then there's 5.1, and then which was a game where they took everything out, and then it was like now the game is super bland, and then they had a good balance of everything in DR, which was very well received by the community.
Can I just ask, like, when people were sending their feedback to Namco back then, how did it work? Because I know social media wasn't as big, and a lot of people say now that the Tekken team communicate more than most other fighting game developers, but how were they communicating with people before?
A lot of it was forums. You know, there were Tekken Zaibatsu was a big one. Obviously, they pay attention to tournaments like EVO and they can see what's being done, etc. Developers and people will say, "Oh no, they don't. No, they don't, Tom. They don't." I'll tell you a true story. During Tekken Tag 2, so what is that? 2014, 2015? No, Tekken Tag 2 is what 2011. Right?
Yeah, 2011, 2012, I think.
2011. So 2011 is really the start of the streaming explosion, right? Because back then you still had Stream.me and all these others before Twitch kind of like became what it was, right? This is the early days. During Prima Tekken Tag, the Tekken Tag 2 strategy guide, they mistakenly in the book leaked out a character that was going to be time released. And Andy Rolari at the time, who was the number 2 guy over at Prima, went over and he went all the way to Japan to apologize to Harada personally. And they told him to practice his shame bow and everything. Harada, they trolled him a little bit, obviously, and he brought him a very expensive, I forget whatever alcohol of choice. But the fact is, even without social media being big and streaming, there were ways to communicate with Namco, right? Mm-hmm. You know, at the same time, I remember at CEO, which was for Tekken 6, the first ever CEO, Harada was there, Murray was there. So clearly, for people that say, "Oh, what are you talking about? Those days of Tekken and 6.0." I mean, Tekken 6, not 6.0, but Tekken 6 BR, which became the console. Where was Twitter then, right? Tekken 6 came out in what, 2010? 2009?
I think it was earlier than that, wasn't it?
For the console, I mean.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let me see. I gotta look it up now. Tekken.
I remember Harada coming to the UK. See, I was in the arcades as well. I saw Del saying that in the chat, but I never saw him. The only time I saw Harada was when Soul Calibur 5 got released, and I think Street Fighter Cross Tekken was around that time as well. Or it was coming, and they were talking about it. Harada came down to Embankment, which, you know, we've got the big London Eye there, and he was in the arcades with us playing. So not in the arcade. There was like it was an arcade, but they had loads of TV setups, and Soul Calibur 5 was down there. That's the only time I ever saw him here in the UK. I must have missed him at Trocadero.
Yeah, so it was originally released in 07 at arcades. Blood Iron Rebellion came out in 08. And I actually do believe it was 2010 in which it was actually released worldwide for console. Somewhere in there. Or maybe like late 2009. Somewhere in there. There's no way anyone can argue that social media was a presence at all back then. It wasn't. It really wasn't. YouTube was just really starting to take off.
We only had Facebook.
Yeah. And you had streaming services weren't anywhere near this. Twitter was it was, so they obviously got information from somewhere. Harada was, otherwise, how did Harada know where these North American tournaments were that were in EVO? He knew about CEO. A matter of fact, Harada was at the CEO 2011. He was at the after party hanging out with us. Harada and Murray was. Like, we're there. So the day before top 8, we're at the party. So after everybody qualified, there's that party that Saturday night. And Harada and Murray were there. All the players from all different games were there. And there's Harada and Murray. So it was, how do they know this information? This is the first ever CEO. This is before Road to Evo, blah, blah, blah. How do they know about this? So clearly, their information came there. So I would say forums were also another big sign, a big part of it. They knew what was being done. There was ways to get information to them at that time. And the information that they were being relayed to them, and I don't know all the ways, so I don't want to, if I can't speak intelligently and factually about something, I don't know all the ways, but I do know that they had but whatever information that was being relayed, you look at the community, and the community was very united on a lot of things, which is why if you look at again Tekken 5.0, they went from 4, and they could have said, no, I'm going to keep a Tekken 4 model, right?
Mm-hmm.
They ditched it immediately. Not immediately, but Tekken 4 had its run, then came Tekken 5.0. Very early in 5.0, it had a early like boom because people were happy with the Tekken legacy crowd was happy with we're back to it feels like Tekken, so on and so forth. And then very early on, you had people complaining about some of the obnoxious power levels and some of the stuff that was in the game. Very similar to what we see now.
Yeah.
And Namco, their response wasn't stick it, hold that bitch. We're going to give you even more of that. They went to 5.1, which they toned almost all of it down, and then they found a more healthy balance in DR. And this was very early done, where 5.0, at least, because 5.0 came out to consoles very early, which caused problems with arcade developers over in Japan, arcades, because arcades were still really big there. And I think 5.1, if I'm going to speak truthfully, 5.1 in DR, that being released early as opposed to late, came for let's put a arcade port of the game that is not out on console to help arcade owners, I believe, in Japan, who were going to lose a ton of money by the game hitting the console too early. So I don't want to say that anyone in Namco did it because of the community feedback. It was largely done because of arcade owners saying it's already out on console. I think it was only in arcades for a couple of months, and now it's already out on console. So it kind of messed up the arcade economy over there. But either way, what was put into these games was very much took that feedback into consideration. Now,
Can I just ask you about that just before you go on? Because with the whole mess of Tekken 8, like people will literally be showing evidence on screen of like glitches and bugs or things that are not balanced properly, and you get these people that are almost like they want to lick the boots of the corporations just for you pointing out that this is a problem. And I don't remember it being like that back in the day. Like you're saying, everyone was very united. We just wanted to get the game fixed. But these days, you get a lot of people where if you speak honestly about something that's happening, like the Anna bug, you get people saying, oh, just be quiet and let them do their jobs. I don't remember it being like that. Do you think that monetization plays a part in that?
It's a huge part in that. For one, when developers started saying, we're going to sell more games by making things that are normally roadblock. So here's the problem. Fighting games never Why would a fighting game roadblock a casual player? Quote unquote casual. Because there are people that could be even mid-level that a high-level player would classify a mid-level player as a casual, right? Because they're not, you know what I'm saying? They're whatever. What was a roadblock? Let's just take the definition of a straight casual. What would possibly roadblock a casual player from playing a fighting game? Like, if you take an older fighting game, like something around in 2009, 2010, 2011, whatever, or even earlier, what would roadblock a casual?
What, like the training facilities?
If there was nothing that would roadblock them from getting into a game.
Right.
I mean, most people would say, oh, you know what would roadblock them? It's just the actual versus fighting, right? That's all the games were, right? You didn't really have, like, people always talked about Tekken 3, you know what I mean? Tekken Force mode in Tekken 4 or whatever, right? People bring these up as ways to entice casuals. The problem is developers said, you know what would really bring casuals in? If we allow them to compete far above their skill level. And that's when everything went downhill. Because then they let players who don't belong in a certain tier of player into that tier of player. And this is when all-out war broke out. Because these players, they don't belong there. So this is when a lot of the people who just are not used to things in fighting games start saying, this shouldn't be in the game. This is boring. This is too stupid. Is it a coincidence? If you go back to the early days, even in the arcade, but especially the original online fighting games, you had Mortal Kombat Deception, You had Dead or Alive 2 Ultimate. In not like the Genesis X-Band era. Let's talk about the actual modern internet era.
Mm-hmm.
The number one complaint you would hear is that all you're gonna do? Is that all you're gonna do? Why do you got to run away? Why don't you fight me? Why don't you fight me? Why don't you? I didn't hear anybody say, is that all you know how to do? Rush me down and mix me? No. Is that all you know how to do? Run away and blah, blah, blah. You don't know how to fight. And there were topics coming up of people saying, this person doesn't know how to fight. You hear it today. Foxy Grandpa will stream and zone somebody out, and the other guy will say, you're not good. You don't know how to play fighting games. Why? You won't, but I'll watch Sonic's videos, and I didn't hear a single person on the mic saying, you don't know how to play. All you want to do is oppress me and put me in these dumb situations. No. The problem is those people got let into the club of now you too can be a pretty good fighting game player. So they started complaining about things that people have learned to deal with in fighting games, only they're like, well, I don't want to deal with them. And then social media gave these people a massive platform. See, normally these people could only go on like a site like Tekken Zaibatsu for Tekken, for example, or a different site, right? Or whatever. And they would be shut down, SRK. Because the only people they're talking to on those sites are the people that are already on those sites, more hardcore fighting game players.
Mm-hmm.
When you open the floodgates of social media to Twitter, and then everybody knows where Twitter is, and developers are already making things a little more accessible for these players, not only are people able to compete outside their level, but then when they run into roadblocks, they can just go to Twitter and say, this is stupid, this is dumb, this is broken, this character's carried, etc. And Twitter is just too big for a community to shut it down. Twitter is the world. Yeah. You can't shut it down. Too many people. So much more than would be on like a Tekken Zaibatsu or an SRK. So, of course, developers say, well, hey, these are the guys we're trying to make money off of.
Can you just I wanted to respond to that, but it is just before I do, to not put words in your mouth. Are you saying that are you talking about gatekeeping in a sense?
No, it's not gatekeeping. I mean, whoever just said this, maybe you might want to be a UFC fighter. Do you know why you're not going to be in the UFC? Because God has gatekept you. You don't fucking belong. All right? The natural order of things. The competition is not meant to be inclusive. If you're strong, you survive. If you're not, get fucked. That's competition. Competition isn't supposed to be lower the standard so that more people can come in.
Mm-hmm.
In professional sports, there's only so much lowering they can do, right?
Yeah.
Before it's like they don't want to make it so, God knows who can get in, right? Or anybody can be a pro athlete now. Like, they don't want to do that, right? Because that's not how it's done. Fighting games, the fighting game model is basically, we make money off people buying the game, right? Not watching the game, buying the game. Developers are not incentivized to say, I want this game to be so high level that such a display of skill is on display that people are going to pay to watch or whatever. Developers say, look, man, as long as they buy the game, that's how we make my money. We don't give a shit what happens afterwards. The interest of the developer is not the same as the interest of the player.
Yeah.
The interest of the player is, I want to get as good as possible and I want to dominate. I got 2 years in, you've been playing for 2 or 3 months, bad news for you. Developer says, well, that's kind of a turnoff to a newer player. What if we just allow situations they can ram down your throat and you can't do anything about it, no matter who you are? And the problem is, whenever people would speak about things like this over the years, they were always met with, oh, you're crying, you're complaining, whatever. Even now, he said, I don't understand. I remember that tweet, when he gave 10 reasons. I don't understand why they're allowing rookie players to be able to fight veterans. That's actually was his exact words. Novice player, not, but you know what I mean? Like newer players to fight veteran players. why that's a good idea. He's saying you have to dumb things down to allow that, which makes the game too simple and too boring. And people even come at knee like, whatever, can't cut it, can't adapt. Knee!
He's still the best in the world.
Not like some idiot. When the game first came out and Arslan Ash said XYZ, he's salty. He can't backdash all day. He can't adapt to the new blood. And then he wins Evo, and they say, whatever, lucky bitch, whatever. Make more excuses next time when you lose. This is how people, and it's not an idiot speaking from a place of not knowledge. It's somebody highly knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I want to point something out though, just with this Tekken patch. You know they reduced heat burst from plus 17 to plus 9 now. I went to the gym just before I came here, and I dropped my friend off home. And I went into his house, and he was like, let's run a quick game of Tekken, right? My friend's super casual. He just wanted me to beat up his brothers. Okay. And I turned it on, and he did it, and he didn't even flinch, like he had no idea. He plays it all the time, but he had no idea. And I was looking, and I was like, does he not know? Can he not tell? I didn't even have to read the patch notes or like look at anyone's videos to obviously know there's a massive difference there. And we're playing, and like he's not noticing anything. He's not noticing that I'm not bouncing off the wall anymore when he does Devil Jin's charged attack. And it dawned on me, none of them were noticing. And it dawned on me, it was like, the casuals are going to play the game anyway. Like the actual casuals. They're not going to care about these changes, because these changes affect the intermediate to high level player. Mm-hmm. The reason, like, and I asked him, did Tekken feel different to you when I did the heat engager tour? And he was like, no, what are you talking about? And I said, never, don't worry about it, it's fine. And I went, and I was like, I bet this is the experience of most people that just, like, because I was telling these guys, I play Gears of War. Apparently Gears of War is not in a good state right now, and I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can't even tell the difference between Gears 1 and Gears 5 for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I imagine that's the experience for a lot of the people that Harada's trying to cater the game for.
You know, I do think so. Same with Mortal Kombat and everything else. But I think people quote Sajam when he said, I think it's Sajam who they're quoting, I could be wrong, when they said, Knee and Arslan Ash's problems are not your problems. That's true. But it's still your problems to a lesser extent. Meaning, Knee and Arslan Ash got to where they are in Tekken knowledge in a different era than today. Someone getting into Tekken today who put time in and gets to an almost good level. He's on the way up, right? But then he's playing someone and he goes, man, this guy, I mean, like, he's literally beating me by nothing, like he doesn't have good movement, whatever, but he can fight me and maybe sneak a win here or there by just putting me in a situation I can't do anything about and ramming this down my throat and guessing right. And my only option is to guess right. And even if I am right, nothing happens. Are they losing to the same things Knee's losing to? To a lesser extent, yes, just at a much lower level, because their skill is not where Knee is. This will take an intermediate player or a little better than intermediate player and say, what's the point of getting to Knee's level? Because Knee is saying, even at my level, it's happening. He's saying players like you at a almost higher than intermediate level sometimes can fight me. And the intermediate player is saying, well, that means players down here where I was are able to fight me too. What's the incentive to get to Knee's level or Arslan Ash's level? That experience doesn't change is what I mean. The experience of players who are not my level, who don't have my experience or my knowledge, don't need it because they are able to force me into a situation in which my experience and knowledge no longer matter. And it doesn't matter if you're at Knee's level or this level here. You do have the same problems Knee has. Maybe not at the same level, but it's overall the same problem. Developers have said, let me throw in a fighting game's way to force scenarios in which your knowledge and everything don't matter. And it's just a raw, that's why it's called casino, right? Mm-hmm. However, this has been going on for years. So what happens is players just got better at staying out of this. To me, Heat was like, you know what? We're just going to put something you're just not going to stay out of anymore. Get fucked. So developers started saying, as players realized the best option is to stay out of it, let's make sure there are scenarios to which you cannot stay out of it. And that's just not Tekken, that's other fighting games as well. And I do think the community is so divided because, like Eris said, what are you going to do? Whether you're a Mortal Kombat 1 player, a Tekken 8 player, whatever it is, you're a streamer, YouTube, it's a business. This is how you make your money. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
The only thing developers understand, money. Stop buying and turn it off. But if this is how you feed your family, you turning it off and other people turning it off to affect their money, well, that also affects your money. So it is beneficial for a lot of these bigger content creators to say everything's fine. These guys are crying. These guys are complaining. And it is more beneficial for that because the more the game is still being played is helping their bottom line. So it's very difficult for the community to come together. And also, they want to stay in the good graces of the developers because they're going to get access to things that most people don't. They're going to get flown out to events, invites to things, et cetera, et cetera. There are perks with, to come with this. Mm-hmm. It has made it impossible. Because then developers can also say, well, what do I care what Mike Hollow and King J and everyone else on that channel says? Look how many, 20,000 people, 25,000 people, who cares? This guy with 500,000 people says it's just fine. Developers get to tune out all... See, the loud noises are individually very small because they're small followings. The massive shouting is the people with 500,000, 1 million subscribers, whatever, on YouTube, several 100,000. Developers can tune all of us out, even though we're the majority, and say, well, he says it's fine, he says it's fine. And they can dismiss all of us as crying, complaining, the same as these people over here do. Yeah. It has created a system in which it's no longer about the best game possible. It's about everybody's in it for themselves. Everyone's trying to make money.
Ponagas, thank you for the $5. The games are more accessible at the start and ruins the game replayability at the end of its competitive life cycle. Yeah, do you know with Tekken 8, I really thought Season 2 was like, they were just going to make a Tekken game. I thought that they were going to revert all of the or get rid of all of the problems. And now that they see the player base is sort of thinned out, that they would make it more traditional Tekken, but they went over the edge. Like, why do you think it is that they did that? Because they told us one thing and then they went in the opposite direction.
Because when everybody knew it was a problem early on, you had way too many big content creators. I don't want to say any names because God knows we don't want any death threats anymore, because that was the most ridiculous thing I've seen in that video.
I can't believe my name was getting thrown around with that.
Yeah, that is the most ridiculous. But we all know who they are. We're making videos about, was it really heat? Or what could they have done better? Or what could they have done this, right? And now some of those people may have come around. Too late. I mean, clearly a lot of these people didn't just have this epiphany now. Mm-hmm. It was obvious from the beginning. But money. Hey, I'm making money hand over fist. What do people want to hear? People want to hear, yeah, they're crying, they're complaining, right? Hey, there's something you could have done. When you posted that situation with Joker, and you're like, look at this Kuma over here. You said it wasn't Kuma. Kuma was just showing an example of one of the problems.
Yeah, the chip.
How many comments were, oh, he could have done this. He could have jabbed there. He could have done this. He could have done that. They're not in that situation. They don't understand. Well, a lot of these people, like you said in your video, a lot of you have no fucking clue what you're talking about. But how many videos of these top
Joker made that worse, to be honest. I watched his video of he was saying, I could have done this, that, and the other better, which it's fine to critique your own gameplay, but it was almost worded in a way where it was like, it was my fault that this was happening.
Hindsight is always 20/20. Hindsight, anyone who ever again, time travelers are geniuses. Anyone can time travel backwards in time and say, oh, if I did this instead, I would have won. you're saying these things knowing the result. Okay? So it's easy to know the result and say, oh, you could have done X, Y, Z. Because you know the result. You know what the opponent did. Anybody can guess the appropriate countermeasure when you know the exact move that's coming out.
No, but my point is that like he was saying that, and because everyone was saying that the chip is the problem.
Okay,
and I was like, yeah, the chip is the problem. And now everyone that was saying that chip is a problem has been vindicated because they've nerfed chip yet again. So it was the problem with Kuma. All the people that were saying, oh, you could have jabbed, you could have parried, you could have subaki'd. It's, maybe, but that amount of chip damage from a character is ridiculous. And they've nerfed it. So I was right.
No, I'm not saying you weren't. But again, even for Joker to come out and say that, again, that's just, you don't ever want to... As a competitor... We all know now how people that critique anything are seen as the devil. So, I mean, yeah, he came out and said, I could have done this, I could have done that. But you're speaking in hindsight. What top player in the world cannot in hindsight say, I could have done this or that? In that moment, you're not sure. So he did what a defensive player would do. Risk mitigation, right? I have this big life lead. As long as I don't get slapped and juggled to the wall, and then I get up and he's still in heat, I can survive. That's what he did. So he said, in his mind, if I block it all, I lose 75% basically. If I don't, I die. So he decided to block it all. He made a good defensive decision. Not sure, don't get hit, right? Period. I'm sure any one of these countermeasures could have worked if you knew exactly what was coming at the time. But because you didn't know what was coming at the time, you could have easily said, I could have stepped here, I could have jabbed here. But you didn't know that in that moment. So you did risk mitigation, which is very smart as a defensive player. And how many times did he guess correctly? Block low, block... Many, many, many times.
Almost the entire game. He would guess correctly and then get hit once and his whole life bar would disappear.
Exactly. Which is why he's such a great player. And he made a smart decision. Risk mitigation is something that defensive players have been doing for a very, very long time. Just because you could, like I said, anybody can do something when they know the outcome. Anybody. I could go back to any of my old tournaments and say, if I'd have done this, I would have won. Yes. And I know what he was going to do, so I know what I should have done. But in that moment, you don't know. So the point was lost on what you were saying by a lot of people. In general, it's no longer about make the games good. It's about, I am trying to make a living off this, and I can't afford to critique it. I can't afford to put it down and go somewhere else. What Eris was saying was, developers don't give a shit about your words. They only care about one thing, money, the bottom line. As long as the bottom line stays the same, nothing changes. So, but like you were saying, how are you going to affect the bottom line? People would have to stop playing it, stop buying it. But he's like, but you play this game for a living. This is how you feed your family. So you're going to put the shit in your mouth and swallow it down and look at Murray's butthole. That's what he was saying. Like, you're not going to quit it. No matter what you think about it, you're not going to critique it like you would. And like you should, or even if you do, you're going to do a rant about how whatever, and you're not going to turn it off. You're going to just go on and play ranked. Developers only understand one thing. Nobody's buying it. Nobody's playing it. Product has bombed. Disney, as much bullshit as you heard about Snow White and how it's too woke and everybody hates Disney's wokeness, if the movie came out and did 150 million its first weekend, do they really, are they really against it?
Yeah.
But because it bombed, it got their attention. We spent $200 million. This is going to be one of the biggest bombs in the history of cinema. Okay. But if it was a huge financial success and they made money hand over fist, do people hate it? People only understand one thing on that level when you're in that position to change it. Money. If you're making money hand over fist, nobody cares.
So let me ask you then, with that in mind, where you're saying that these which whether it's Mortal Kombat or Tekken or another fighting game, these content creators need to feed their families. Do you think that we're in the wrong? Let's say like when Mortal Kombat 1 came out and there were a lot of content creators attaching their names to it, maybe not getting paychecks, because I don't want to like assume, like make the assumption, but let's say getting the developers good graces. Do you think it's wrong of someone like me or you to call them out then if we believe that they're trying to feed their families, even if they are shilling?
I think it's okay to. Well, here's the problem. They have no problem. If you call out a positive content creator, man, the shit hits the fan. But they call us out every day. Well, now I am a positive creator. Mortal Kombat 1 is the greatest fighting game ever. And I truly believe this. And I play it every night. Actually, I do play it maybe 5-6 hours every night. I think about it when the setups when I sleep, etc. I love the game. What can I say? Love Mortal Kombat 1. Great to see it in tournaments.
So wait, do you think it's going to do well at Evo now?
If it's not, somebody should be arrested. That game should have 3,000 people showing up. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I think it should. I think it's good enough. It's probably the most put together, the best put together fighting game in the last 20 years. So it should have at least 2,000 to 3,000. I'm expecting 2,000 to 3,000, and I will be devastated if it's somewhere around 400 or 500. I think it's better than that, and it deserves better than that.
Do you think it's the best installment of the NRS era?
It's the best installment in the history of Mortal Kombat. There's never been a better one. The players are better than ever. The level of play is higher than ever. The tournaments are more hype than ever. Absolutely love it.
Do you think that this rumor of a new story is a good thing, or do you think they should move on to another Mortal Kombat?
I think it's time to move on and just, as far as the story goes, just say, hey, pull a War of the Gods and just say, yeah, GT's no longer canon, boys. It never happened, right? Just do that. Do that with Mortal Kombat. All this and timelines or whatever never happened. Whoops, Raiden went back and did this, and that never happened anymore. And just do something better. The story is completely out of hand. Don't bring Onaga into this. He deserves better than that. Stop.
He deserves his own game.
Yeah, just don't do that, man. Don't stop throwing stuff at the wall at this point. Just stop. Just redo it. Give the story the justice that Mortal Kombat deserves. I mean, it's got a great story, as long as you leave out the last 2 versions of them telling it.
Well, I did a video yesterday where I was basically saying that Raiden, a second timeline Raiden, should meet with third timeline Raiden and transport their memories back to the original timeline Raiden that sent his memories over in the first place, so that he can avert Armageddon or even just stop the Deadly Alliance and then continue the story from there, because that was the original timeline, right? But it would technically now be the 4th timeline because it would be another branch. But then you could just close off all mention of time travel, all timeline stuff, all multiverse, no more Chronica. People have been saying bring Onaga back for this if they do another one, and I feel like that'd be such a waste of Onaga. Like he's meant to be the big bad character.
Yeah, Onaga. I believe in the lore he was actually poisoned by Shao Kahn. That's how Shao Kahn killed. I think it was the original lore. He was poisoned.
Yeah. That's right.
And I know someone's going to say, Tom, do you have any examples of what developers are doing to make things acceptable and people not calling out the obvious stuff? So let me give you, since Tekken 8, I did not put any time into, like I did a game like Tekken 6 or Tekken 4. And I wasn't around the higher levels like I was in Tekken 5 when I was right there in the middle of it. I mean, high level players, 5. For me, it was just 4 and 6. So, take Mortal Kombat 1. A way that the developer would bridge the gap. Up lock. Let's just look at some of the mechanics. Up lock. You have MK11, in which they say jumping is going to be overpowered. Jump. Even flawless block up to, it's going to miss half of these obnoxious jump-ins. This game, they say, we're going to give you an up block and kind of tone the jump-ins down slightly. and we'll make up block extreme reward for the person that up blocks you, and then the person that throws you will get, obviously there are throw combos now, but minus the throw combo, you're going to get a little bit more damage. But the risk reward is heavily in the favor of the person that up blocks. Up block is just pretty much an easy mode anti-air. It shouldn't even be in the game. The correct answer isn't to create this stupid mind game, or am I going to jump or not jump, up block, not up block. It should just be give people good anti-airs. Simple. You don't need the obnoxious jump-ins like MK11. You don't need an up block like MK1. Allow people to physically anti-air. I see people literally jumping at the last second. They're like, oh, up block. It also creates universal situations. Because of up block is in the game, now what people do is they'll do specific knockdowns, and then too many people will always, and you've seen this, Mike, specific knockdown, neutral jump kick. Why? Because it beats their wake-ups and it beats the up block. Mm-hmm. But that's almost everyone doing that with almost every character. It's not a Sub-Zero thing or a Scorpion thing. It's a universal game thing. You create a mechanic made to make easy mode anti-airs, as opposed to doing the right thing and just make anti-air skillful that work again. And because of that, it also, I don't know, it also hurts on the pressure system, because now, obviously, you want to get at it, you want to beat certain situations, unless an armor move goes straight up, then you have moves where you can neutral jump kick, or these safe jump scenarios, and it beats up block. You always got to beat up block now, because whatever. I don't know. There's no reason for this to exist. There's no reason for it to exist.
Would you say it's a poor implementation?
It's a poor implementation because
I thought it was the best game in the series.
It is by a mile. The only thing you just have to say, make anti-airs skillful again, that work consistently. Mm-hmm. The way anti-airs work in fighting games, jumping is not supposed to be abolished. An anti-air is supposed to be, if you read the jump-in, and then you see the jump-in that you read, you should be able to anti-air it. If you're playing footsies and then someone surprises you with a jump-in, more times than not, you're probably not going to anti-air. You're not expecting it. You're reading something else. Somebody jumps in. Otherwise, everybody would get DP'd every time they leave the ground in Street Fighter. You'd never be able to leave. If you have the Shoto, every jump would be a guaranteed DP. Why don't they? And, because sometimes you get caught off guard by anti-airs. Obviously the DP motion has input. But in general, even like an MK9 that had anti-airs, every jump-in was not anti-aired. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of them were, but the way anti-airs work in fighting games is based off a read and then a reaction to your read. The minute you say, to come away from that and say, well, I'll put this mechanic in instead of that, there's no reason to do that. I understand it was based because of how obnoxious the jump-ins were in MK11. Mm-hmm. But all you have to do is say, tone down the obnoxious jump-ins and make anti-airing better and consistent. Then there's no need for up block. They introduced a mechanic that's no need for it.
What would be the counter to this? Let's say that you were M2 Dave and you were hearing this. I'm assuming he's probably in favor of it because he's a big MK1 guy. What would he say to that then? What's the counter argument to what you're saying about up block? That people complained about anti-airing so much in MK11, so they gave you this. But the problem with up block also, it is, and people like Tekken Master talk about this, it is maximum reward for the person that up blocked you with minimal risk. Minimal risk. And again, the problem with it is you can have the worst reactions known to man, not even expect a jump in, and still up block it every time because it's just the up and block motion. And even if you get surprised by a jump in, you're still going to up block it. Even a novice can do that. And it opens up this stupid mind game of you're in neutral, jump, empty jump, or not empty jump, and the reason why you can't it wouldn't even matter, but the anti-airs are still not as good as they need to be. Mm-hmm. So the reason, because it wouldn't matter empty jump or jumping with an attack,
if people read it, they would just anti-air you. But because of they're not as consistent as they should be, and there's uplock in the game, which then gives you a full combo without scaling, why even bother? I mean, it just opens up a stupid mind game that shouldn't exist. I'm going to jump, and now I've jumped, empty jump or not empty jump. It should just be red jump, saw jump, anti-air jump.
So instead of just fixing the initial problem, which was the poor jump-ins in MK11,
Or
them
jump
being
ins
too
combined
strong,
with the poor collision on attacks like jabs and things like that.
Yeah.
They use traditionally anti-air.
so instead of
just
fixing
that
it,
problem-
they just added another problem to it to try and fix that problem.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I think Cherney was in the chat, was saying he doesn't understand, but I think it's the same argument that people are using with Heat. It's like people are saying you need to add defensive mechanics into Heat to stop the offensive mechanics, like a Heat breaker or some shit. I can't remember what they were calling it. And I was like, that's just going to cause more problems. It's just adding shit on top. Just take it all away.
Adding shit. I just don't understand the purpose of saying, because you have situations that where you're playing footsies back and forth, and there are people who would normally be completely caught off guard by a surprise jump in that situation. It happens in every game. It always does. However, in Mortal Kombat, you can just, I didn't expect it, and you uplock it.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if they land and get thrown, even throw combos are going to heavily scale. The person trying to uplock is still very minimal risk for maximum reward. And it's not a defensive mechanic, though. Alexis, it's a defensive mechanic, I guess, but it's also it's an accessible mechanic. It's an accessible mechanic, basically.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning,
as in, like, that it's too easy for people to use?
Imagine in Street Fighter, there was just a universal anti-air option, and everybody could do it.
I think what she's saying is that,
and it took no reactions.
Yeah, but she's saying there's counterplay to it. There's you could grab them and get extra damage.
But counterplay to it. I read you were going to jump in. I saw you jumping. But the anti-airs are not as good as they should be. So now I'm going to play the uplock or not uplock game. Or here's someone that doesn't have very good reactions. I caught him with a surprise jump in. But even though I'm playing someone who is not at the level they should be, even they can invoke this mind game on me. When I clearly caught them off guard, I clearly surprised them, but I still have to play the empty jump, not empty jump. It's too accessible. It's too simple. What was wrong with read jump in, saw jump in, anti-air jump in? What was wrong with that formula? NRS had to say, make jump-ins obnoxious. You're never going to anti-air them. To, anti-airs are kind of iffy, so we'll put an uplock just to make sure. If you think the anti-airs could be kind of iffy, so we'll put an uplock just to make sure that aspect of the game isn't iffy. Why add that in? For what reason? There's no reason for that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I think it's just, if you've got a good anti-air system in the game, you've already got enough depth there. So it just seems like an unnecessary. I mean, if you like it, you like it. It's whatever. I don't like it. I'd rather it just wasn't there and there was good anti-airs and not overpowered like jump-ins. But that's just a personal thing. I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
Fatal blows. Why are there fatal blows that reach obnoxious distances and still push back anyway? Why? Who's that for? The high-level player? Really? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So do you think fatal blows need to be adjusted? I actually think fatal blows, apart from that, are not too bad. Coming from Tekken, where we have rage arts every round, I do like the fact that you can't pop them every round.
Yeah, but you also see situations where someone has breaker and fatal blow. They'll do a fatal blow from range or whatever. Let's say they get punished, comboed, they can break, and then they have fatal blow again, and then they hit you, and then they'll fatal blow you.
Okay.
Or it's just a bad design.
Yeah.
They should all fatal blow should just be like Supers and Tekken. They shouldn't have range. None of them should be full screen. An X-ray was different because an X-ray took away all 3 bars. So you're completely depleted after that.
Mm-hmm.
The fatal blow system, I think they should tweak it a little bit more. Right now, I don't know, it's stupid, I think.
One of the things I don't like about it is I think if you whiff it, does it come back in like 10 seconds?
It does, but I also don't like that sometimes there are fatal blows that are only punished. They can be done from obnoxious range, and they'll only get punished with a fast special. And some characters even can't punish. Like I'm, literally, let's take people talk about Sector as a cameo because the fatal blow will sometimes you could literally try to, let's say somebody baits it out with a jab from like full screen, right? Or from like 3/4 screen. And the person reacts to it, activates the fatal blow, Sector missile comes out, you block it. What are you going to get for that? Absolutely nothing. You're back to neutral.
What do you think?
Or like a projectile. That's like a long range fatal blow, right?
Yeah.
It's a fatal. It is a fatal blow. What do you get for that? Nothing. But by the time you engage again, it's going to be back.
What do you think about? I want to ask you since PL's in the chat. Maybe he can come in here and answer it as well. Like, I've been watching the discourse around Sonic Fox's Cyrax, and I think people were saying that Cyrax is just a BS character in this game. There's nothing to lab. You're just kind of stuck in some nonsense. Is there ways out of what Sonic Fox is doing with Cyrax, or are you literally just stuck in it?
Yes, Sonic Fox will always be a fan. So I'm going to tell a story. And Rio and EP and Jop can vouch for me on this. This is a true story. The first, and Ultra David, fuck you, bitch. So I'm going to blow your ass up on this shit too. So there was a thing called Fatal 8. I think PL was the one that called EP and told him, hey man, Tom is doing this. This is what Sonic is saying. EP and Rio called me and said, what the fuck are you doing? So what happened is, the first day there, I'm playing Sonic Fox. And M2 Dave is a witness on this one. I wish Dave was around because he can vouch for this. And anyone that was there, Tyrant or anyone that was there, Tony T, were there. Sonic Fox is this, that. And they were like, hey, Tom, you tested for a week or whatever. Just show them some combos so that it looks really good in Fatal 8, when they're up there. Show them something to really show the game. So I wanted to show them different variations. And it was a great moment for the game when MIT lost the first game and picked a different variation, right? And people were like, wait a minute, he's picking the same character and loses, but then just picks the same character, different variations, and it's a different match. It was such a huge highlight in selling the variation system right there on the Fatal 8. It was an awesome moment. But during the practice days, young Fox, he was young, maybe 17 years old, something like that, young Fox, Evo champion and Injustice Fox, but still young, still a teenager. I think he was about 17. He's like, he's going to play. That was probably the worst beating in the history of humanity that young man suffered. And that night, all he did, and PL was there, was talk about how you can't have the clone, you can't have this, you can't have that. And I said, well, hold on a minute. You've only been playing the game for a day or two. Is it possible that you don't know the matchup and know what to do? The same shit that they would say to other people, right? No. And he said he was going to sit Ed Boon down and tell Ed Boon blah, 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 blah. Even though he didn't. I called M2 Dave while Sonic was going off like a crazy person to say, Dave, you're welcome. You deserve to hear this, right? And he was just hearing Sonic go on and on and on. The next day, I get a call from EP. And EP said, man, what are you doing over there? I was like, what are you talking about? EP's like, man, you can't do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? They were like, man, don't you know that character's going to get nerfed to the fucking ground, going to get nerfed. People that were there were telling people about it. And EP heard about it, and Rio was like, "Hey, this is going on." EP and Rio called me. So an EP was like, "You just got to tank to him. Just swallow your pride, suck it up, and tank." Right? You just, or would you rather the character get nerfed to the floor? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. So we played I was playing using the Xbox pad, which, look, the Xbox pad, most fighting game players will tell you the early Xbox pads are terrible. I hate them. Be that as it may, I'm playing Sonic, and I'm actually not even doing any combos. Back two, drop the combo, caught him in the corner, back two, drop the combo, whatever. Some of that stuff was actually intentional, and I'm like, fuck, man, I can't play on this pad, man. I can't play on this Xbox pad. And Sonic is like, yeah, I had a dream last night that I was going to beat this and whatever. So I called EP. I said, I think Sub-Zero's like baseball, brother. I think he's safe. I think we're okay. That moron Ultra David is on Twitter going, oh, it just took him a day or two to adapt to it, you fucking idiot. That's how stupid Ultra David is. I was like, does he not realize, why is Tom all of a sudden missing every combo he's doing? And I'm like, yeah, the pad. Huh? PL was there for this. I was like, yeah, the pad got me. Because he was after the first day, he was like, nope, you can't have this, 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 you can't have this. It was only that one day, and it was Carl, though. I only played him twice. And then the second day, it was just, I think it was like 7 or 8 games I dropped to him, and that was it. I wasn't going to sit there for the same massacre that this kid received. I'm not going to tank that hard. But it was only maybe like a very short series of games. He won like 7 or 8 of them. And I was like, yeah, Xbox pad, I can't do whatever. Just enough.
PL's saying that you played him. PL, do you want to come in here as well?
I didn't play him the entire time.
He has a whole photographic memory. You played him the entire time.
I didn't play him the entire time. Day one, I did play him a lot. That was the Massacre of Sonic. So day one, I did play him a lot. He's right. Day one, absolutely. Day two was only maybe no more than, I don't know, 15, 16 games. And I think Sonic, won like 10 of those in a row. I maybe won 5. Yeah, but I think you won like 10 of them in a row, whatever it was. Day one, yes, a considerable amount of time was playing him. But it was basically a one-player game because he didn't get out of the corner ever. But the thing is, I say this to say anything that prevents Sonic Fox from moving forward will forever be immediately removed from the game. Eternally. The first thing the first character nerfed was Sub-Zero. I'm not saying Sonic can't win with zoning and things like that. I'm not saying that. But I remember at Evo, keep in mind that the first Evo won by Sonic Fox. He was using Katana and a few other characters. Cassie Cage, whatever. And then shortly after Alien, he was before the second Evo. And we're talking about cloning in a hotel room, and Sonic Fox goes, yeah, they needed to nerf it like that. I just want you to have to play 2 seconds of neutral after clone. And I was like, you want me to play 2 seconds of neutral? You're ramming full screen moves down my throat. Who the fuck is playing neutral here, Sonic? He had no problem. And you've all seen it. Sonic will ram 3/4 screen moves down your throat and feel no remorse about it. And then tell you should be the one playing neutral. And I'm not saying my neutral is anywhere as good as his, because it's not. Most people's are not. He's just a godlike player. However, anything that prevents that person from moving forward will be immediately abolished from the game. It's just the way it is. I'm not saying it's because that's the way he wants it.
Yeah.
It's the way NetherRealm wants it. Not because of him. They just see that style is what the players who are playing now are doing. So that's what they want. That's what they're perpetuating. And with the problem with defense is the character that might be a powerful zoner or traditionally a powerful keep out character or a powerful, whatever type of character that's anywhere on the defensive scale, NetherRealm will be very cautious about, right? Well, we don't want him to slow the game down too much, or we don't want him to zone like that because it'll slow the game down. People will get frustrated, right? So they'll take characters that traditionally do that and kind of scale that back and be very careful. Yet Cyrex, they never say, well, let's be careful. We don't want to have any set play in the game. We don't want to have any oppressive, extreme, low risk reward situations in the game. They have no problem showing no caution to that, but they will only show caution to the other spectrum. We don't want anything to slow the game down too much. We don't want anything to zone too hard. It might frustrate people. Slow it down. We don't want anyone to kind of be a little too lame. It might be a problem. When it comes to set play or ramming offense down your throat or mix or whatever, they let the shit hit the fan. They don't care.
Well, okay, I'm going to ask you why that is. Let me just read this super chat. Urameshi, thank you for the $10. What's up, Tom and Mike? In my opinion, next MK should only be mechanics we loved from past Mortal Kombat NRS, MK and MKX. Also applies to character design. No cameos or variations. Examples of characters hurt are Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Smoke. I would actually prefer it if... I don't mind if they don't do 3D again, but I would like it if the variations were all active in the same fight, like they were in the 3D games. So you could switch in and out of sword and hand-to-hand. I think that would be a cool twist on doing it.
Might be. And again, I just want to clarify this. I'm not saying I was ever on Sonic's level. Clearly, I had a massive advantage that first time I played him. However, rather than seeing this, the response was, you shouldn't be beating me. So because of that, that mechanic has to be toned down. As opposed to saying, I'm doing something wrong.
So wait, can I just clarify something?
Next time you think your gods are above crying and complaining when they feel frustrated by something, they're just as much of whiny bitches as anyone has ever been.
So, when you're saying that, because you said that you were beating him, and then he said he's going to sit Boone down and talk to him about how
he was joking. He was joking. It was a joking manner.
Just to clarify, so it doesn't get clipped.
No. It was the joking manner. It was a joke. No. He didn't actually. It was a joke. It was a joke. He was like, I'm going to sit Ed Boone down and tell him blah blah blah. It was a joke. However, and if you guys, I could care less if somebody wants to say, yeah, right, Tom. Oh, Sonic Fox adapted to you and just caught up to you and you couldn't handle that and he beat you the next day. I don't really care if that's your thought. I'm just telling you the point of it is that's literally a phone call that I received saying, if you don't do this, it's going to be a bigger talking point. And that was based off of Sonic's reaction to fighting it the first time. It was not a reaction of, you've been playing the game for longer. This is my first 1 or 2 days on. I don't know the matchup. I don't whatever. It's nope. It's automatically too powerful and it needs to go. So, and again, I'm not saying I was ever Sonic's level. I mean, clearly he was the best player in the world, far better than I would have ever been, in that game, wherever was in that game. And I'm not in Sonic's category. But again, it was just that reaction. This is the reaction to defensive mechanics.
Mm-hmm. And why is that? Why did they prioritize offense?
Of course, they'll say it wasn't defensive because you were locked in the corner. But yet, these people have no problem locking us anywhere. They will lock you up and mix you all fucking day long. But if it's something that they don't like, that is being used to be done to them, nope. Gotta go.
What is there, like this Fatal 8 tournament that you guys were all at? You said, what game did you say it was? MKX?
MKX.
Is there like any tournament footage anywhere of any of this stuff?
It was just the invitational tournament.
Yeah, we had one here in the UK as well.
Yeah, PL, Ryan Hart, etc. Great for the game. And it's no surprise that every game is going more offensive. And when people say things like developers are trying to, is it their fault for trying to get more people into a game, so their game sells. Maximilian said it best a long time ago. I wish I knew the video. Maximilian said, casuals, what they want to see is a bunch of cool characters, a bunch of cool game modes to do stuff, a bunch of cool cages, cool music, etc. Casuals don't care if they can open you up or not. The problem is we've allowed people who should not be high level to actually fight at that level. And now they're accustomed to the character doing the opening up, right? They don't want you to be able to run away. They don't want you to be able to stay out of it. And they don't even want to have to open you up. They want the character to open you up. When people say, how do I open you up? What do they mean, Mike? Where's my overhead, my low? Where's my throw combo? That's what they mean, right? How do I open you up? That's your job to figure that out.
Yeah.
How does this character open you up? And what is always the suggestion, Mike? They need better mids or better overheads or some lows, right? That's always the options. Easy mode, easy to fix options. That's, and it's compounded by developers saying, oh, well, we need to dumb down the ceiling and the entry level. So the ceiling gets lowered and then the entry level, is also an easy access to entry, and then you lower the ceiling on top of that. Because what they are doing to to allow the easy access is very effective, but very simple, and that stuff oftentimes ends up being the most effective. So by being more inclusive, you're also lowering the ceiling, and the community, who could normally say, "Hey, what's going on here? We don't want to play this." Well, you have too many people who have a vested financial interest in it, and they are, no, everything's fine. People are doing it right. They're crying. They're complaining. They're XYZ. Look, we know this for a fact. In Mortal Kombat 11, there are many people who told us it was the best Mortal Kombat game they ever made. And then one came out and they were like, man, thank God. Man, it was the worst trying to stream or play that game.
Yeah.
It's all monetary. It's all monetary. It makes it very difficult for honesty when your livelihood depends on it. Being able to monetize a fighting game, obviously, as good people can play games and do what they love and make money off it and be successful, but it now makes it impossible to accurately give the right feedback to a developer.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, in your opinion, because in Tekken, they seem to have tried to make it more casual by doing all these forced 50-50s. But what I've found is that the same people are still winning, and so it feels like it's a game that's made for nobody. Is that happening in Mortal Kombat 1 as well? Because I haven't obviously played it for a long time, so I don't know how it's evolved. But I just know that Tekken 8 is a game that nobody likes because it's not really made with any sort of vision in mind. That's what it looks like to me anyway.
I had a conversation. I forget who it was with. Was it Tom Hilfiger? I don't remember. In Tekken, I forget who I talked to in Tekken 6. And or at some point in Tekken. But I remember it was what Tekken was trying to do. I think Tekken 6 had the right balance of it. Let's take early Tekken 5. What they were trying to do in early Tekken 5 is scale the offense up, because it was obnoxious. So they wanted to make it so newer players can get in. So what the problem is, it was like, at some point Tekken went through a phase where I felt it was made for nobody, and maybe that's again where, yes, it was made easier to win, but not easy enough for this group, right? And then they made it more skillful to win, but not skillful enough for this group, right? So you're left with nobody. And I think Tekken 8 is in that spot. People will say, what scrubs are beating me and Arslan Ash? They always take the extremes, right? I hate that. But I think Tekken 8 is dumbed down. A lot of things have dumbed down. But it's still not dumbed down enough for this category to say, fuck yeah. So, I guess there is a skillful element to it, but it's not skillful enough for these people over here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it was made of.
Made for
With
nobody.
they tried to make it for them, but they still can't catch up to these guys, and these guys find it unfun, and they're still beating these guys. So it's like no one likes what's going on right now. Like even my friends that play casually, they prefer Tag 2 and Tekken 7 and Tekken 6 over what we've got in Tekken 8. But is that happening in MK1 where they've closed it even more?
I believe it is. And also in Tekken, so basically Tekken, you have this group here. It's easier, but not easy enough. This group here, still skillful, but not skillful enough. And what happens is you have this group here. And they like it when they're able to fight somebody from this group here, right? But then they'll complain about it when somebody from this group here makes it hard for them. You see my point? Mm-hmm. So now you have not easy enough, but easier. Not skillful enough, but still element of skill. These people, fuck yeah, love it when I can fight some people over here who I should never be able to fight. Now I fucking hate it when this guy over here who's beneath me is able to fight me. So you have just total discourse. It's a game made for nobody. Mm-hmm. And then Mortal Kombat. Oh God, man. For being the greatest fighting game of all time, Mortal Kombat 1, it does have its issues. I think Mortal Kombat has got something similar. Where it's just too dumbed down. It's just too dumbed down. It's not rocket science. It's what you see being done with Cyrax, or before that with Homelander, or before that day one of the game, right? What you see is, with everything in the Cyrax, right? Everything the Cyrax assist, or now it's being done. All the things that were done in the game, it's not rocket science, right? It's made to be very accessible. Obviously, the top players are going to dominate with him. But Mortal Kombat's low turnouts really show, like, even Tekken, as much as they hate the game, people always point out, my God, the Tekken community has turned on Tekken. And yet, even more of them still show up. A game that sold not even 3 million units yet, still 900 showed up for it, which is a lot. Street Fighter 5x them.
Yeah.
But even when the community is on fire and they sell a fraction of what Mortal Kombat is sold, more people still turn up for it. So you understand how simplistic and boring you had to have toned down a game to drive this many people away, like Mortal Kombat has when you sell this much.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think Tekken right now people are not showing up at all. Maybe it'll change in this emergency
patch. See the difference? See the difference? A lot of people even some of the most positive content creators, even they're finally starting to address it. So I saw a situation where FDX did, and the feedback was like, "Well, you're the problem. Watch yourself, yada yada," because it's like you're no longer allowed to then turn and say, "I think we do have a problem. I'm going to step away," because like the person threatening him was saying, "You're part of the reason why we have this problem," and now you want to say yada yada.
In FDX's case, I actually feel bad for him because
True.
I dealt with a similar sort of thing. I did get threats. It didn't bother me like that, but like I always get labeled as like the super negative one. So when I do say something positive, it's like, hey, shut up. And FDX, even though I've seen him calling stuff out plenty of times, he's now labeled as the toxic positive one. Maybe he had a bad take. I don't know why people are so angry at him specifically. I've got names in mind of why people are super angry at some content creators, not to the level of what that guy said. But with FDX's case, I feel like he's been lumped in with the toxic positive crowd. I don't see him that way. I actually think he's been pretty fair with Tekken 8, and I think that he's offered. Yeah, I would agree. I think he's offered some really good insight from the other side, because you don't always have to make the kind of content that I make where I'm criticizing constantly. Sometimes I miss things that are positive, and I think they lumped him in. And then obviously now people are blaming him for Tekken 8's direction, which is absolutely absurd to blame FDX for the whole game's direction.
No, I agree. And by the way, I just want to say one more thing, because God knows you can never mention Sonic Fox's name without an army of animal-suited people coming after you. Let me just say three things. One, Sonic, you were obviously, I had an advantage on that day. So, yes. Two, I know you think, no, I just caught up. bad news, you didn't. But you're complaining. That's how bad it was, over this mechanic, which you would have overcome anyway and learned and beat me anyway. So there was no reason to go on like it. But it just shows that we're all human, including the very best of the best. And clearly a far better player than I would ever be. And 3, I used to care what you guys thought, but now that I am successful, I don't give a fuck what any of you assholes say about me anymore. So say whatever you want. I threw it because you were being a bitch about getting your ass destroyed. You were being a total bitch about it. A total bitch. A great quote from Theo Epstein said, one of the best, the Theo Epstein, I'm so stupid. The owner he was a GM. The owner of the Boston Red Sox once said, I saw this quote one time. He said that it was actually, his direct quote was put in Moneyball, that money allows you to, great luxury, it allows you to buy the ability to not give a fuck what somebody else thinks or says. So I could care less. But yes, I just wanted to say that this is offense is being funneled, and offensive players really love this kind of stuff, and it's really defensive players that get alienated. And it used to be a time when you could speak your mind for the betterment of the game, and everyone it was a community, because we were all united and we just wanted the game to be good and they wanted the game to be fun. Once you introduce the financial aspect of content creating and XYZ, then nobody wanted to be seen as the negative one or critiquing a studio or get on bad terms with the studio because for one reason or another. So it just ruined everything. Money has really, and the developers, obviously, their interest in selling more units. To them, they think it's making the game better because they think they're selling more units, which they are. But for the competitive players, they're not. And what ultimately happens when a game gets to a point that a game like Tekken 8 is, which is kind of where MK11 was at its end days, and where I hope MK1 never gets to as the greatest game ever. I hope it doesn't. But MK11 got there as well, where the casual people you make the game for, at a certain point, they leave. They're done. They moved on to something else. And all that's left are the hardcore players, and they don't like it. So the hardcore players will always suffer so that another audience will buy the game. But when they leave, this is what the hardcore audience is stuck with. That is the problem. And because of monetization, I mean, it's tough. I mean, how do you tell? We all know all developers care is the bottom line. That's all they care about. Why did MK1 turn out abysmal day one? They sold 15 million units of MK11. Mm-hmm. Do you think, going by the numbers, they must have thought we are indestructible, right? That's what they thought. I honestly believe that it caught them off guard. Because you went from selling 15 million units, and you must have been like, what is this riot for all of a sudden? The previous game sold 15 million. Now all of a sudden, early on in the game's launch, you know what I mean? I understand it's the way it was, the way the game was made, but it makes people think that they have a bigger window than they will. People don't give a fuck about anything as long as sales don't stop, as long as sales continue. So when this is the case, what does happen when they release a game that is legitimately horrible for many reasons competitively? You can't stop playing it. You are bound to this. Mm-hmm. This is how you feed your family. So you can't actually send the message monetarily to the developer. The only thing you can do is use your platform to say, this is bad, nobody wants it, nobody likes this, it needs to change. But, for quite a while in the early stages, they're on their positivity train, where no, it's whatever, anyone critiquing the game, they're bad, they don't like it, they just can't adapt, etc. Because they're feeding their gravy train. Oh, negativity sells. Well, I got a better saying. Negativity sells, but toxic positivity profits. Negativity is just another word. There's a difference between criticism and negativity. Negativity are people who have no fucking clue how the game is played. and they have no idea how to articulate anything. And they are just piggybacking off of the points that much stronger and more educated players are making, yeah, fuck that game. I'm not playing it because blah, blah, blah. You're not playing it for several reasons that have nothing to do with this. But there are people that legitimately criticize it who do have a high intellect and a high understanding of fighting games, especially the one they're criticizing, and they are not being negative or hating. They're saying these are legitimate issues. The problem is the toxic positive side, they're always going to double down on. These people over here are hating, they're salty, they're whatever. So an all-out war breaks out. It's no longer money. The monetary part of fighting games have made it no longer communal. It's no longer communal anymore.
So do you think if YouTube monetization stopped today, or Twitch or whatever, we would have a very different fighting game community?
A very different one. Also, even the way games are streamed, most people don't want to play long sets. If they play somebody, it's a first to 10, first to 20, right? Or first to 5, or they'll play ranked. Or their stream chat. You know why that is? Because they've got to play and stream what gets the profit.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to watch you play a bunch of casual games with people they don't know. I don't know who this guy is. Why aren't you playing ranked? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that, right? Nobody wants to watch a long set unless you're watching like me, Arslan Ash, fighting GM, like the very top of the top. They'll watch them play long sets against each other all day.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally they want, 2 games, next opponent, 2 games, next opponent, 2 games, next opponent.
Do you feel like because we've had so much of that recently, we might be getting a shift soon where people are gonna want to play longer or like slightly slower paced fighting games?
I don't know. I hope so. I also think ranked is just a really shitty way to learn. For some,
you think so? That's how I learn on fighting.
For
games.
some, it's great. For others, it's not. What I mean by that is, when you make a game here's what I mean. Not that it's a bad way. When you make a game more accessible, here's what happens. A person will come in and play ranked, 2 games, and both of them are done, win or lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may not get that matchup again for a week. How are you supposed to learn that matchup? So what happens when you get it again, a week later and lose? What is your response? This is stupid! Why is this character allowed to do this?
But what's the alternative then?
Well, I think it would be much different if you raised the skill level again and got rid of the skill floor, because then more people who understand fighting games come in and whatever, right? They always say people don't want to lab. You're right. A lot of people don't want to lab.
Yeah,
and those are
me included.
I'm
not. I'll be honest with you. Most fighting games that I've ever played, I go to practice mode for like 2 minutes, and then I'll go on ranks, and I'll just get beaten up until I learn how to play.
I also think online doesn't get used right either. I don't think it does. Tekken's a legacy game, so it's different because all these moves. You have a good idea how to fight a lot of stuff if you've been around for a while, right? So you're not gonna, you know what I mean? You're not gonna. A newer player ranked is much harder than a more established player, because even if he does, like someone like a more established Tekken player who's been around for 10, 15 years, if they come across something, they've fought it before. More than likely, that's just the new character, right? Newer players who have no clue about Tekken and they hop on ranked, that's, as you used to say, that is shark-infested waters. You know absolutely nothing, and you're going to learn how to fight each character in a first to 2. That is a slow process.
Yes.
And it's frustrating, right? Because you don't ever get that experience. You play a Victor one time, well, not a Victor, Victor's new character. You play one character one time, and you may not play that character. And if it's not a popular one, you may not play it again for another month. And then he beats you again. Zafina, for example.
So you're saying change how many matches there are in ranked? First to 3 or first to 5?
One, I think it should be first to 3. That's one. I think
it was like that on Mortal Kombat 1 at one point, and they changed it, didn't they?
And I think Tekken should be first to 3. And they say, oh, nobody wants to sit through 3 games. If your tournament is first to 3, and you think nobody wants to sift through 3 games, then make tournament first to 2. Mm-hmm. What I have a problem is you'll have actual tournament players who will shill a game and say, well, yeah, I think it was good they made it first to 2 because nobody wants to sit around on a first to 3. Okay. Then make your tournaments first to 2. Well, no, that's tournament. Either nobody wants to sit around for a first to 3 or they do.
Yeah.
Well, what I mean is these people. Okay, well, ranked mode isn't made for these people. So I think that's one thing also. I think that could help things. But I also think that there's ranked is more competitive than it should be.
Do you what, really?
Here's what I mean. I miss the days of you beat somebody 100 times in casuals, and it doesn't count. And ranked online is just glorified casuals. It's not a tournament. It's not a money match. It's a glorified casual. Mm-hmm. Sure, you have your rank at stake, but it's not the same thing as real tournament. Offline. I think the fighting game tournaments in general are not as big as they should be. Like, it takes the entire FGC at a tournament like EVO to pack a stadium. You got other games, they'll pack a whole stadium just for that game alone that aren't fighters. I feel like you have players. Let me just take Mortal Kombat, for example. You have players who will use ranked to compete, mm-hmm. or even online tournament. My problem with even online tournament is online. It ruins the finality of it. Ruins. You lose to somebody today. Oh, I'll just beat him tomorrow. I'll play him in that tournament tomorrow. Tournaments almost get watered down because there's a new one every day. And I guess it's tough. Like, it's tough to do because I'm not saying tournaments are bad, but the problem is people scratch their competitive itch in their home, and a lot of people say, I don't have to travel for this. I'm scratching my competitive itch at home. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, I don't want to do a long set. The art of casual games to learn is lost. It's all about rank first to 2 because I'm trying to compete. First to 5 in casuals because I'm trying to compete. Are we playing for money? How many times do you see somebody as playing and somebody go, let's get some games. You want to put some money on it? That's how common is that?
Yeah. Well, money is literally a stream going on right now with money matches.
I mean, the art of just playing to level up is I think lost also. Ranked games are meaningless. What does it matter if you beat a guy in 5 ranked sets in Tekken 8 online and you go offline and he beats you in tournament? What good are those 5 sets? Who has the bragging? Who has the bragging rights?
The guy in tournament.
Can he say you're so fucking stupid? Instead of trying to level up and grind matchups, you want to play ranked all day and you don't ever learn anything. You take it too seriously. You don't ever try. Also, people, because of ranked, they're a lot of times unwilling to experiment in certain ways, because they're trying to learn or yada, 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 right? Also, what happens? Somebody tries a new character, they lose one match, their stream chat's like, damn, bodied, right? So what do? They go back to their main character and then try, I don't know. I just feel like fighting games could be using the modern era of social media, the open communication they have with developers, which unfortunately isn't as open as it should be, and the internet era to really blow fighting games out. Fighting games are the original competitive game.
Yeah.
Fighting games should be blowing every other game out of the water. These other games should be so... You could release a competitive game, not a fighting game, tomorrow, and in a month, it will have a scene 10 times bigger than a fighting game at an offline gathering.
Yeah, it is quite a shame to see how low numbers are. Tom, I wanted to ask you, there's a fair amount of people that are messaging me to jump on.
Bring 'em on.
Are you okay to answer questions from people?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Well, you know the rules. Send me what happened there.
And I'm saying I don't know what the answers are, but I do think that a lot of community leaders need to sit down and figure them out.
I think that fighting game tournaments should shift to team based, where you enter with teams and it's not just everyone's on their own. Because I think people get a bit anxious playing on their own, and from what I've observed playing games, watching team games at tournaments, teams that people seem to do better in teams when they have people that have their back. And whenever I've seen fighting game team tournaments like what they did with Pakistan and Korea, it's a bit more exciting. And from what I understand, the payout for those sort of things in general, I don't know about that one, but in general, those ones are better.
Tekken Crash used a similar model for Tekken 6.
Yeah.
And I think people loved it. And I would say that Tekken Crash went a long way into really, breathing some real life back into Tekken with Tekken 6. And I don't know what all the answers are, but I just know that fighting games are nowhere near as big as they should be. They're the original tournament competitive game, and yet they're behind every other competitive game, not a fighting game.
Yeah. Just admitting these people in. Yeah, guys, if you want to talk to Tom, you have to message me on Twitter or on Discord, and then I'll add you to the call.
And by the way, I believe, I'm going to take a Rick Fox story. I believe Rick Fox started Echo Fox with his business partner because he went to a League of Legends event with his son, and they packed the Staples Center. Mm-hmm. So he thought this is a good investment. Unfortunately, he made the investment in fighting games. Anyone see Echo Fox around anymore?
No, they're gone.
Anyone, and keep in mind, anyone that invests anything into a fighting game, they don't last, Mike. They don't. I mean, it is what it is. A fighting game community needs to be so. And I also do think that fighting games not having a PC standard also hurts them. PC, I look at console. What are you going to market products for? PCs, you can market products, better video card, better everything, and these people will sponsor events. So one, holding events on PC automatically brings more sponsors to the table because there are products that you can sell or upsell, right? Mm-hmm. Keyboard, mouse, better everything, better components, for your PC. So you just bring more sponsors to the table. That's one. Two, you gain access to, I believe, who was it that said a PTR? Who was it that had that idea? Was that Frame Whisperer?
Might have been Frame Whisperer, yeah.
A PTR is a great idea, and fighting games are in the Stone Ages. Let's take MK1. If they released a more complete version of the game day one with the cameos and characters, people would have had that Cyrex thing done in 30 minutes. The same as they did day one. And shit like that wouldn't be in the game when the game comes out. Mm-hmm. But developers tend to hide their garbage that no one's going to like, and we don't get it until we pay until the game comes out. And people don't have access to that. Testers, I know some of them. But I feel like when you become a tester, somehow your brain leaves your body. And all of a sudden, there's no way some of these people that, like, let's say you employ a former great fighting game player as a tester now. Yeah. There's no way that they don't know shit like this is in the game. They either just stay quiet about it or it's a losing battle because it's in-house, right? So it's in-house. There's only so, I guess I shouldn't say that because someone, even with like testing in MKX and MK9, certain things that we want to change during testing, we got a lot of it done, but there are just some things that, they're just going to say no, even though we know it's wrong. And there's no outcry because we can't tell anybody about it, and it's only a handful of people. But if games got released via PTR, and you had millions of people saying this is fucking stupid before the game is even launched, I think that would help a lot.
Just before we bring the GGB in here as the first caller, Chad was saying, are there any successful 1v1 esports? I don't think there is. Fighting game's the only one. I wouldn't necessarily say they're successful.
Does FIFA have an esport? I don't know.
Uh,
Madden was successful for a long time. I don't know if what Madden does now, but it's still 1v1. It's a team game, but it's still one human versus one human. So
yeah.
I would say Madden and things like that. I'm sure they're very successful.
GGB, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
Okay. Hi, Mike. Hi, Tom.
Hey, man.
All right. So,
Go on.
all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Mike. Hi, Tom. So I'm still kind of like formulating my, I guess you say, my opinions on the FGC. Just trying to really bring in actual nuance question to the situation. But something that's been on my mind is just a general question or thought process about preserving the history of these, um, especially the pre-09 fighting games and the meta of those games. Um, and I'll just list off what I wrote down here. So what I was thinking was, as I just said, I want to try to ask a general question about preserving history of fighting games and their meta, given the factor of this vested interest. Just something else I wrote here is that I wish the knowledge base of the average person on Twitter was higher enough so that we could actually have proper critiques of the games properly, so that conversations were dominated over there by slop, as I would call it, like early tier list, reactionary content, and advocating for character buffs like it's a political campaign. But at the same time, of hoping that we just talked more nuanced and adult-like about these games, about these hobbies that we like sort of commit our lives to. I also have this bit of worry that attempting to really get into those deep details in like the way that um, you guys do here, like talking about when it comes to like bad blood between certain people or like certain, I suppose you would say, narratives about how the games are developed and made. It's like, I wonder if we'll wind up reaching to some point where, in an attempt to catalog these casual and competitive metas of these games, we reach a point where some sort of knowledge would probably should have stayed buried. Like we'll reach an arc of the covenant effect, as opposed to just like properly making sure that the knowledge that should be known about these games from like a competitive standpoint is properly documented for future. Are we at a point where, do you feel that we're at a point where the problems are just so big that we're already on a path that we can't turn back from, that doesn't really matter? Are you already at a point where you feel like you're not really too concerned about that, or do you have like potential ideas about how that knowledge can go around better?
It's not documented because people don't want it to be documented. The FGC is probably the biggest land of double standards ever. It's where one person can win no Evos and be considered a god, and one person like PL can win 3 Evos and be considered somebody who is never good. FGC is filled with their own bias, and they want to tell their own story that fits their narrative. And to tell the entire history of the FGC would just not fit too many political FGC agendas.
I understand.
Did you have any other questions, bro?
Well, just a smaller one. Maybe this will lead to something else. Tom, do you have any particular thoughts on Ketchup Mustard's MK Meta series and the way that it at least has some way to document those older retro MK titles that no one talks about?
I love some of their meta series. I always thought about doing one to MK9 because there was quite a few that they got wrong. And there's no way they could have got it right unless they were there during testing and know the exact reasons why things were changed. And there are some things I don't think they knew about in the original Day 1 version that were there that they missed. I do like it though, because I do feel like so many of those MK games get forgotten. And more so than any other game, I think Mortal Kombat is the game the most forgotten by its community. Like, I think the Mortal Kombat community shun their past MK titles, and they shun the people that played those MK titles, unless they're a newer player. So I think it's very important how they document that stuff. And I wish it would get more traction, because it's unfortunate. Mortal Kombat has such a great legacy that it's almost swept under the rug by its own community. And part of that is NetherRealm, because they're always starting over. They're always rebuilding. Every few Mortal Kombat games, MK goes through an extinction event, which destroys the old and builds new. And I think that's another reason why. So I'm glad that they preserve a lot of that.
Yeah, and you could say that that sort of effect is not exclusive to MK. I mean, of course, in terms of the past history, or like the other games being put to the wayside, MK is one of the games that has that to a larger effect. I would also place Tekken in that same realm, because of how pretty much everyone just drops the old game in favor of the new one, and they're similar enough to where the gameplay is similar enough to where people will stick around and say that, oh, well, the game will get better or will adapt. And before we realized that, we really went off the deep end, which I would say Tekken 6 was the deep end. Oh, it's too late where we are now. Street Fighter has that issue to an extent, as far as like there are only certain games that are favored and many more that are forgotten, even if they deserved it to an extent. C, DX games, Alpha. I could go on and on there, but you guys would probably know more about that than me. So with that, I'll just say,
well, Capcom also works to preserve things like that, because they'll release like a classic series, and they even the Capcom will preserve it as well.
Yeah, even the bad games get the quote unquote bad games, as far as history would be concerned. They get remembered. They get re-released. And
all right, bro. Well, I appreciate you jumping on.
While you bring the next caller on, I know people are going to say in the comments.
Have a good one.
Take care, bro.
I thought about here's what I mean by people aren't using the online properly. So they use it too competitively instead of grinding, meaning you could have the list of players that are at the highest level is very small compared to intermediate, right? So let's take this ocean of intermediate players and this small list of highest level players. What tends to happen is, I'm sure we've all had this experience once or twice with somebody. You get these intermediate players, and they all want to sit in a line to play the very best of the best, right? And they ignore each other. Meaning, if two intermediate players run into each other in ranked, let's take Mortal Kombat. They run into each other in ranked. It's a hard fight. One guy wins the close match. Let's say the guy that loses says, hey man, that was a close match. We should grind together and level up, right? And every game has this. I'm just using MK as an example, right? We should level up together. The person is insulted that somebody not Sonic Fox, Foxy Grandpa, or Ninja Kill or something like that. How dare you give me a hard fight? No one knows who the fuck you are. You're some nobody, right? Hold that loss, bitch. And they will go out of the way to never play the person again. In fact, if they get matched up again, they'll just leave. Because you got to hold that loss. But the people up here, people always say, why are the best very consistent? I'll tell you why. Because you have this ocean of intermediate players who refuse to grind. Because what are they doing? They want to play ranked. If this ocean of players said, we're going to make a fucking group of 10 people and we're going to grind every Friday night for fucking hours in rooms and just grind and talk and grind against each other, God, they would become as good as the very best of the best. What happens is they see each other as a waste of time. Because you're not this guy, you're not that guy. So you got all these people waiting in a line to play these people up here. What happens is these people up here, they get all the experience and how to keep beating you. That's a problem. That's why they stay the most consistent.
Yeah.
people are unwilling to. Like people, we used to be. Remember the old local scenes? You would meet up, and it would be a bunch of people meeting up every Friday or every weekend, right? And they all meet up and grind with each other. And what would happen is, the worst players within a couple of months, they weren't the worst anymore, right? They were pretty good. And a lot of the times, the worst players aren't always playing the top players. Kind of the worst or mid players grind against each other a lot during these locals, right? And then they level up, and you know, wow, these guys are getting much better, and they start being able to compete at a higher level than they were.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, on the internet, these people all see themselves as gods. I'm an expert, even though I'm here. Unless you're one of these people here, you are a waste of my time. Because it doesn't, right?
That does happen with a lot of fighting. That's been happening for as far back as like Street Fighter 4.
It's true. And the problem is, they look at other people on their level as, you scrub? How dare you fight me? You're not skilled. All you did is this. That's why you lost. Hold that shit. They'll win by a pixel in the last game. But they're insulted that someone they don't know. How dare they? What do we always hear online? Who's carried? Who's this? Who's that? What do you mean they're carried? Why? Because they're not Foxy Grandpa or Sonic Fox, they're carried? No. You, my friend, are shit. You just don't know it. So you think somebody else is carried when the truth is you're both carried. Modern fighting games are people who are carried, outraged that somebody else who's carried is beating them. And what I mean by carried, I don't necessarily mean by the characters. I mean the mechanics of the game are elevating you to a level you probably don't belong. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you're not Sonic Fox or this guy or that guy, right? So you're not any more above the same bullshit that you do to somebody else that they get beat by. You're not at that tier. The problem is they think they are. They would happily grind against any one of these people up here all day. So you got a bottleneck where you got a few people up here and thousands of people down here, all in a bottleneck trying to squeeze to, you know what I mean, waiting online to get games with these people.
Yeah.
What's the common thing we started to hear in the online era? Top players don't want to give me any games. We've heard those complaints before, have we not? Well, why you got to play a top player? You're not a top player. You think you are, but you're not. Mm-hmm. Why don't you play all these carried people that you think are carried that are giving you hard games? It's tough. Online is not being used correctly. It's also why scenes aren't being. It's not a community. We call it the FGC. There is no community left. The FGC has not been a community for a very long time. Social media, monetization, and the internet have not been used properly. And because of that, that's like saying, oh yeah, the internet's made online dating great. It's made it better. No, brother, it's made it worse, right? I mean, like, it's made it worse, right?
It's made it rough.
There are things that the internet should make great, but unfortunately they don't. And the FGC is just one of them. It's not a community. It's not. The community aspect is gone.
All right, well, I think that would be a good transition into our next guest. We got the man, the myth, the legend.
What up, guys?
What's up, How you doing, man?
Hello. I don't want to take up too much time. I've loved all of this. You guys, as usual, dropping wisdom. So I have a very big question I want to ask, and I want both your opinions on it. So essentially, top line question is this. Do we actually believe it's possible for fighting games to ever have mainstream mass esports appeal? I heard you, Tom, talking a little bit earlier about, fighting games should be bigger than they are now. And I feel that way. I hear it and I feel that. But at the same time, if Street Fighter 2 didn't do it, if Street Fighter 3 didn't do it, 4 didn't do it, Tekken 5 didn't do it, if whatever the most popular fighting games didn't do it, a part of me questions, is it possible for it to have the sort of Dota, League of Legends type numbers? And my mind goes to something like Blockbuster, which seems a bit random, but like, even if you were the best business manager of your local Blockbuster, your company was doomed to fail once the internet became ubiquitous, right? There was always like an upper limit to how big that business model could be once technology reached a certain point, right? And so my question for you guys is, do you think You're right, Finn. I am hot. Do you think it's possible that fighting games also have that upper limit? And like the final point I want to put in before you jump in on that is like my theory, and I could be wrong, is any fighting game that's deep enough to be worth watching is also always going to have a smaller casual player base, which will limit the amount of marketing potential it could have. And if you then might try to make your game appeal to a mass market, you know, like kind of, you know, I'm not going to point to any games, but Tekken 8, right? You try to appeal to a mass market, simplify the gameplay, all of a sudden it's not worth watching. So I wonder is there some sort of third way that we're all missing, or are we doomed to have this sort of upper limit? That's the question.
I think.
Can I just answer real quick? I'll give it a quick answer.
Answer that. I'm going to use the breath while you answer that real quick.
I'm going to give it a quick answer. Fighting games will never. They cannot. Actually, let me say they can. Let me not say they cannot. There's infinite possibilities in the world, right? There's probably going to be one fighting game, maybe it's Street Fighter 6, that breaks through and gets hundreds of thousands of people tuning in. But the chances of that happening are so small just because of the nature of fighting games. I don't think they're ever going to be able to topple a team-based fighting game. The kind of camaraderie that you build with your friends when you're playing a team-based game and then going through the motions where like, okay, we're actually going to get competitive with this. Because it's not just sitting with the boys online or sitting with a group of girls. You're actually like locking into something as a group and relying on people. And I've always found group activities with my friends more fun in real life as well. Like if we go out to do something as a group, it's always more fun than doing it on my own. Fighting games are a lonely competitive scene, right? We're all in it for ourselves. Even when you're signed to a sponsor, you're in it for yourself, really. Like you're not you don't really care about where the other guys finish. You care about where you finish. Sure. And because it's so isolating, I just don't think it's possible for the players to ever get the kind of exposure they're looking for, because a lot of the people that are watching these team-based games also want to compete with their friends. They can see that there's something there they can do together, and also if someone's lacking, then they can lean on their friends a bit. If we go into a fight on Virtua Fighter and I can't play Go properly and you're very good with what's his name? Is it Kagemaru?
No, Light Fate. The monk life.
Yeah, like I can't do anything. Like you've got me. There's no one for me to be like, hey, John, help me. Like that's it. I'm cooked. So I don't think they can.
No,
I think fighting games absolutely can. And here's why.
Okay.
Before I tackle the ceiling part, how did fighting games go from nothing to where they became right at the start of the esports era? Surely fighting games didn't start out having thousands of people show up and get together. Fighting games built that camaraderie. Even though, it sucks, you're losing, I can't do anything. It's not like a team game and I say, I got mopped up. Hey, you take him. We still found that camaraderie of playing with your boys and everyone leveling up.
Yep.
This is how gaming started as just local arcades, right? No one couldn't even communicate, right? Unless you traveled.
Right.
And then forums happened, internet happened, still not like it is today. And people were, more and more people were meeting up locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. They built it. It didn't start internationally. It started locally, regionally, nationally, internationally.
Yeah.
And the FGC built that through scenes, local scenes. First was major cities, before the internet. You had California, and these major cities had massive advantage. California areas, massive advantage. SHGL, SVGL, Florida, right. Chicago, New York, right? Yeah. If you look at any OG story, where are these players coming out of? New York, Texas,
the hubs,
Chicago, right? Florida, California. That's where they're all coming out of. You're born in South Dakota. You're assed out, brother. I mean, bad news. Not that you couldn't be good, but it is. But these scenes got built up, and to do that, you have to attract people who weren't even good in fighting games and became good, even though they were losing. They found a community way. Hey, you guys come in. This guy will beat you 100-0, but this guy won't. Yeah, this is the guy you got to play, right? With online, now you come online. This guy that you can fight. He says, well, you're a waste of my time, bitch. You're a scrub. I'm not going to waste my time. You're beneath me.
Yeah.
We have lost a sense of community. So now all there is I got beat 100 in a row. He told me I suck. He told me to sell my PlayStation. And that's how the internet is. This is how the internet is. We know this. But the problem is players are not trying to become friendly groups anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their own. And I mean everyone's on their own.
But isn't that like I
I
100%
know Mike
agree.
got something.
No,
Yeah.
I actually really agree with you, but that almost seems to go with what Mike is saying, because at least with Mike, the 3 people on your team can be that small community, right? So you can have some of that. Whereas how do I put this? That arcade team you're talking about, there are real life human beings that you can form relationships with, and that matters, and that's huge. But like you said, same with the online dating thing, because we've moved online, like there are no actual relationships being formed. It's like a really selfish, lonely thing, right?
Let me give you a great example. Take MK9. I know a lot of you guys think, oh, it's Tom, this scrub, but at one time, not so. How many people came in that were either not good, had no idea what they're doing, or mid-level, and they were playing other mid-level people? Or how many people that had no business being on the screen with me that I play for hours and hours and hours, they got better, and then they would play other mid-level players, whatever. It was never a situation where I'm wasting my time. Why am I fighting this bum? This guy's below me. Or these 2 mid-level players. Why am I fighting you? I should be fighting the best and level up that way.
Yeah.
No, it was a very tiered community, and people were getting better, and it was a very communal. And people weren't shamed for not being good or for learning or whatever. Now, it's embarrassing. But if you're not one of the best of the best, you are a worthless human being.
But do you think that's a function of the size? Because I've noticed that too, like when I go and play Virtua Fighter or even Soul Calibur or a smaller community game, because there are fewer people, you just play anyone, right? And so there is a sort of camaraderie almost by definition. But then once a game gets into the couple million marks or whatever, all of a sudden everyone's like, I only want to be playing with the top 10%. So again, is it not possible that there's almost like once this community gets to X size, it breaks apart? Like there's an upper limit to how communal it can be, and then once it gets here, it's like a critical mass. Again, all just a theory, but it sounds like that dynamic too. Because I wasn't in the MK9 scene, but I imagine, like you said, with internet infrastructure, you had to play everyone around you, and that was a good thing. That pressure made you have to be cooperative. You had to be healthier. But yeah, I don't know.
I've got an idea.
Why you got your fucking hand up on your own stream, Mike?
I'm trying to be polite. I've got an idea. I just come up with this on the spot. Yeah, because we're talking about how to cultivate fighting games so more people play them. What if you actually made a team-based fighting game that required you to play in a team online the same way Uncharted or Gears of War or Call of Duty? You can match up with randoms, but you need to have let's say 3 guys. And what if you make it to the team aspect of it is not the life bar or the fact that you got to tag in. It could be like King of Fighters where the next guy comes in after you lose. But what if the team aspect is around the meter? Like we share the same super meter or whatever, and we have to manage our resources as a team.
I see.
Because then you've got more like we actually need to work together. We need to we can't all pick the same character. Let's say that let's just use a random game, right? We can't all be Kazuya. Yeah. And this particular character is good at building meter. This one's very defensive. This one's very offensive. What if they built a fighting game with defined archetypes, where people had to match up in 3v3 scenarios and share meter with each other or share resources? Do you think something like that might garner more attention?
There's a commenter called Ironsight Sarcasm who said exactly what I was about to say. We had a game like that, and it was called For Honor, and it didn't do that well.
Yeah, For Honor.
Well, but For Honor's not like, I'm talking about like a conventional fighting game like Tekken.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, potentially, but I don't know. I
don't might fix Tekken 8. You only get 1 heat meter shared, and who's gonna pop it? That might fix it.
Let the scrub have it. Yeah,
2 of the 3 characters wouldn't be able to use heat, right? You'd have to share it.
That'd be wild.
That might fix it.
Maybe, but I don't know. I don't know if I feel like the fantasy of fighting games though is always gonna be like I go to my dojo, I train, I get solid, I win the fight. I don't know if. I could be wrong. We've not had the experiment, and I guess 2XKO is going to be the closest we've ever had to that experiment, right? But I don't know if that would rock. Your answer is going to be questioned. I'm sorry, your question is going to be answered when that game comes out.
So wait. How is 2XKO working then? Just so I get an understanding.
It's 2v2, but you can also have like I control one character, you control another character. So we can go in like a tag team like the Dudley Boys. let's say Tom Brady and someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we could have that. So we can have that sense of like it's not just me doing ranked on my own. We're a team. We're a stable.
But do you tag in, or does someone come in after they've died?
You tag in.
You can tag in.
No, I don't want to tag in. I don't want to tag because that's going to cause problems. I'm saying like
Yes,
King of
you
Fighters,
will.
King of Fighters, where you beat one opponent and it's like, okay, I've beaten that guy, but he didn't use his super meter, so the next guy coming in has got access to that super meter, and maybe it's very beneficial to that character.
Yeah, I don't think it's been done yet. It's not been done. It's a
I
good
mean,
question.
fighting games are just way too much self-serving now.
Mm.
People used to care about the other players because we realized we needed other players to build the FGC up. Now it's like, well, it's already here. Newer players come in, they say, well, it's already been built on the backs of these people here. By the way, all you people that built it, fuck you. You guys didn't do shit, bitch. You know, I mean, like the FGC is not a very friendly place.
It's not.
Newer players say, well, thanks for building it for me. I'll just take this over. And we're all going to be self-serving. The FGC wasn't always self-serving. Now it is.
Yeah.
I can see people in the chat, they keep on saying, I'm not talking about tagging in your partner, guys. That's not what I'm saying.
No, you
I'm saying
get knocked out, you come in. Yeah.
Yeah, a team-based game where like me and Chad fight the first round.
Where you share a
winner
resource or something.
Yeah, the winner stays on with their health bar, however they left it, and you share a resource like a super meal or a break or whatever it might
You have
be.
to have like team strategies because you're sharing something, so you have to work together.
Yeah.
So you have to have your own strategies and game plans because you guys are both not just bring a guy in. You guys are both sharing something that you have to manage collectively.
Yeah,
a part of me thinks that here's the issue. A part of me thinks that the ideal situation for that wouldn't be 2v2, it'd be 3v3, kind of like fencing. I don't know if you know how team fencing works, but basically it's like the two people fight first to 15, right? And then the score carries over to the next two people who fight. 15 to 10, the next two people are starting, and now player 2 now has on the team 2 has like a 5-point deficit. Does that make sense? But they're both 10 to 15. Yeah. So that could work too. But again, now that's even harder because fighting games always have a small player base, and now you need more people to have a single game.
What starts with it is also the ceiling, as you talked about, starts with the developer.
Yeah, true.
If the ceiling is here, nothing they can do. Developers correlate the term casual to being a stupid person. You would be amazed what people can get around if they were forced to push their way around it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. People say, well, they'll say, oh, so why can't you get around the stuff that's being done today? Because you have made it powerful, but extremely easy and accessible.
Yeah.
There was a period of fighting games, not in the beginning and not now, but there was an in-between period where things were hard to do. A top player could say it's hard to do for you, to me, because I can get around it when you do it to me. You're not good enough to abuse it to me, but I can abuse it all day on you, and we can abuse it on each other. Cabal and MK9 is a great example. Two top players can abuse Cabal on each other. Or I can abuse a top character or character and the Cabal player abuse whatever on me. Like I'm a Sub-Zero player, I can abuse the corner situation on a very good Cabal player, and they can abuse everything else on me, as broken as the character was, quote unquote broken. An average player trying to play Cabal, I could literally put a blindfold on and annihilate it. Because as strong as the character is, not strong enough in your hands.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, I hear that. I do hear that. But I think
it's not easy. What made these characters good
you have to
aren't where's my overhead? Where's my throw combo? Where's my low? That's what makes it good now.
I think I do definitely hear that, and I'm going to go in a second because I didn't want to take up too much time. But like, I think the final and hear you discuss is just that part of the reason why I think there's an upper limit to how far fighting games can go. The only I think to this, because I work with younger people too, so I see this. It's back in the 90s, fighting games were some of the most fun you could have. Like they were, so even though they were hard,
absolutely,
even though they were hard, what else were you gonna do? Like the best. The problem is this new generation have way more easier ways to get that endorphin rush. And it's hard to, and I'm like, if I was a 16-year-old, 15-year-old today, I'm gonna be real. I don't think I'm playing fighting games. I don't think I am. Even if the fighting games are superior to the ones we had back then, there are so many other ways I could have fun, right? And I think there is an upper in fighting games' attempt to capture the ADHD generation. They're going to kill what makes fighting games worth playing in the first place. And I think this is
is that grind to get to where you're going.
Right. You got to master
give it to me now. Give it to me now.
Exactly. The pleasure of a fighting game is not immediate. It's in that I can do the Hadouken and I practice and then I get to the point that I can do it consistently. And then it's an even bigger endorphin rush that I could do it up front. But people, I think the market for delayed gratification is a lot smaller than the market for instant gratification. And people are trying to make fighting games an instant gratification type genre, and it's not going to work. And so a part of me thinks you can't win. If they try to appeal to ADHD, they're going to lose. But if they accept their fate of they're only going to appeal to people who are down for delayed gratification, they're also accepting that they're appealing to a smaller market. And frankly, a boomer market, because we're just getting older, right? And I think they're not willing to accept that truth. And until they do, we're going to keep having this problem. That's my hunch, and I hope I'm wrong. If someone has a theory to explain why I'm wrong and something I'm missing, I'm down. But I just think that in order to make a fighting game worth playing, they have to accept a smaller market. And
I think that like they were doing fine last generation. Like Tekken sold 12 million copies. I mean, it's not Call of Duty money, but for Tekken, that was a big deal. Like
but even now you're saying, okay, but for Tekken, you're doing this one. No, for Tekken, it wasn't, and you're right. For Tekken, it wasn't that.
Yeah,
but
I think sometimes you need to recognize and stay in your lane. Like,
yeah,
you have to accept that's what we are. Like, we're this genre is, like you said, it's not instant gratification. You have to lock in, you have to get beaten up, and you have to like they always say, if you start on like Tekken 5, you're not going to be good until Tekken 6 comes out. That's something you hear all the time.
Yes. No one's
which is that's not normal. If I told my brother, if you start on Call of Duty 4, by the time Black Ops comes out, you'll be able to hit a headshot. He'd look at me sideways and be like, why the fuck would I play that game? Yeah. But for us, that's normal. So I think that fighting game developers, I'm not saying that they shouldn't strive to sell more copies, because, you know, Smash Brothers sold like 38 million, so there's a way to do it. But for the most part, I think it's okay to like not be PUBG and not be Fortnite. Like they're not ever going to be that. And if they try to be that, they're going to bastardize the games.
But that's a hard sell to an investor who's holding their money and being like, well, I can invest in you, Bandai Namco, who want to make Tekken 9, or I can invest in Act who want to do this. It's a hard sell to be like, hey, we're down to make mediocre profits because it's a mediocre. That's hard. It's a hard sell in a business room. That's why I'm saying. Because they're caught between a rock and a hard place, and they can't satisfy all their masters. If they want to satisfy their board members, they have to make the games dumb as fuck, thus actual fighting game problem, which is what we're having now. Or they can appeal to us and they can fight a game that's solid, but then they're only going to appeal to fucking boomers and people who grew up in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, people who know that if they put the time into fighting, it's worthwhile. That's a shitty place to be in. And I think the future of fighting games is honestly, and I'm terrified to say this, I think we are going to go the same way as, RTSs. I think our genre is just destined to go down. Because there was a time where playing an RTS was the most fun thing you could do on a Friday night. But that has not been the case for a very long time. And that the whole genre died. Not because the genre got bad, but because there were other, easier, faster ways to get. And I just think that we are the next on that conveyor belt, and that's hard to swallow. But if I'm wrong, I hope I'm.
I think that a possibility for fighting games. I watched this guy's video the other day. I think it was Electric something. I'm forgetting his name. It was a really
Electric
good
Underground.
video.
Yeah. Pokken guy. Yeah, the Pokken video.
Yeah. He mentioned Pokken. I looked and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, great.
So I think it's possible that most fighting games like Tekken will become arena fighters, because arena fighters are cheap to make and they do the numbers.
Yep.
Like you look at Ninja Storm, you look at Demon Slayer, you look at Tenkaichi. They're not as in depth as Tekken or Virtua Fighter, but they sell more and they're very easy to produce, and they bring them out like look, there's a new Demon Slayer game coming out. Visually looks better than anything I've seen, but gameplay wise, I looked and I was like, it's just Hinokami Chronicles 1 with a couple extra gimmicks here and there. So I can see Tekken and maybe not Virtua Fighter, but I can definitely see Tekken and Soul Calibur going down the Arena
I
Fighter
could see
route.
Virtua Fighter going that way too. Like, why not Virtua Fighter? It's a new one. They want to make money. I don't want that, but I can absolutely. Why not? You're making a fighting game and you want to make money? This is the thing. I think our genre is, again, I think we are like regional managers of local blockbusters. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
we're holding on by a thread.
We're sitting on a business model that is doomed to go, and we're having all these discussions about what we can do to improve revenue and what we can. I'm like, bro, like, I'm just gonna pack it up, because I'm like, it is what it is.
I don't think they'll ever truly go. I think that if that happens, then a couple years down the line, there'll probably be a game that's like, this is like the old fighting games, and then the appeal will be like, oh, we haven't had this for a while. This is going to do really well, and then we'll just cycle back to, here's another Ninja Storm game. It's going to sell 10 million copies. Deal with it.
Yeah. And I think that'd be probably better if Tekken's trying to be a AAA thing and becomes a sort of a boutique indie thing, and they spend the appropriate money on it, and therefore they can just focus exclusively on the quality of the game. It's all good. But so long as they're trying to make these fighting game franchises into AAA, selling a cajillion copies, we're fucked. Like, they have to accept that. Like, I think there's an upper limit. But I've taken up too much of your time. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Some of you, Mike. Some of you, Tom. You guys are awesome. And,
thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries. I'll catch you in a bit. All right, let's get the next person. Sorry, I can see you all in the queue down there, so I'm just going for everyone one at a time. Okay, so next person we got is Calvin Wick. Are you ready for the next caller, Tom?
You go ahead, bring him in.
All right, cool. Shout outs to Chad though; it's always dropping wisdom.
Hello,
Hi, Calvin.
can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
How's it going, guys?
Oh, Calvin, I'm just gonna mute you for 1 second. There's music in the background. I don't know if you can like turn that off. Yeah, we can't hear you because it will like, if it's copyright music, that's it for the stream.
Yeah, wrap it up.
We'll just let him move in the meantime. But yeah, I honestly don't think that Chad's. I think Frameless was the one that said it as well, that they're gonna turn to gacha games or stuff like that. All right, let me see if we can hear him now.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, I left. I was in Applebee's.
Oh, okay. No
Okay.
problem, man.
I was literally at Applebee's having a steak and stuff. I just got off of work. My bad. I just went in my car. Here. Shoot. I'm sorry about that. I forgot. Yeah, they had music in the background as usual. But yeah, what the other dude said, he had a good point. But there's like, they had like a medium where
Mike, 1 second. I got to switch over to my phone.
Yeah, no
had
problem.
the easy access at once, and that was Street Fighter 4. Because you had one frame links, you had all types of. Can y'all still
That's
hear
all
me?
right. Yeah, we can hear you. He's coming back. He's just switching to his phone.
All right. Yeah, they had all those. Street Fighter 4 had which you could saw what happened when you could still have the freedom the pros can get. You had like the one frame links, you had all types of stuff, you had the option selects, you had skill based, but people could pick it up. But to go the arena fighter route, hell no. I'm like, no.
They probably will though, because the arena fighters are very cheap to make and they're much easier to play, and they appeal to a wide variety of people. So like, you just look at the Ninja Storm series, that it's like, I think, the 5th highest selling fighting game franchise now ever, so wouldn't be surprised.
But I kind of wonder is if that's because of the franchise or is it because of the game? Do you see what I'm saying? Is it really because it's Arena Fighter or is it because of Naruto or Dragon Ball? Because they're so popular. That's the one thing I kind of think about.
Well, the thing is that they don't want to give up the Tekken IP. So they're not going to want to give that up to anyone. But if it's not doing as well, but the arena fighters are, the natural progression is to go into that. Where else are they going to take Tekken?
Yeah, that's gonna suck though. I know that's gonna stab, man.
I hope it doesn't come to that. It seems far-fetched right now, but it's a possibility. Like, I've seen people talking about it more and more.
Yeah, but like it's like with the difficulty gap, like When you remember the twins that did that they're doing 2KXO. Um, I mentioned it is one of the big differences in fighting games. I don't know if you can understand how I'm describing this as. I'll start with like 2D fighters. You got Street Fighter Third Strike, Street Fighter 2 Alpha, Marvel versus Capcom. Those games were hard to play. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, they were hard to play. They were hard to get into. Well, if you ever when you play like X-Men Children of the Atom and stuff, you ever play those games, the characters are very light. They're
Mm.
light and they can move. Oh shoot, I think we lost. I think you lost.
Huh?
My bad. Let me try something else. Jesus. I lost the signal if you can't hear me. I lost your signal.
No, we can hear you fine. Yeah, Calvin, we can hear you. Uh, okay, do you know, we'll just we'll put him in the back for now. I don't know what happened there. I think Tom's gonna come back in a bit. In the meantime, let's just get the next guy in here, and then we'll bring Calvin back in a second. Tom, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
I mean,
No,
work
I
stuff.
think-
I gotta go look at a project so I can do it on the phone while I'm doing that.
No, that's cool, man. We're gonna bring Calvin back in a little bit. I
Sure,
think he
bring
was
him on.
having issues. I'll bring in the next caller, and then I'll go back to him. Spotting cheaters. Hello? Okay. Guys, if you're going to call in, please be ready when you call in. Like, I don't know what it is, phone's facing the wall or something. Let's bring in Dragon Eye.
Oh,
Hey, man, what's going on?
what's going on, Mike? What's going on, Tom?
Hey, what's up,
No,
man?
all good, man.
All right. So I think I've heard what you said about Mortal Kombat 1, Mike, but I don't know if I heard it from Tom. But so, Tom, would you prefer if they made a new game or just kind of like flesh out this game? Because Ed Boon himself said that this game was designed to be like 6 years.
Make a new one, man, please. I would make a new one.
Really?
Not because I don't love the amazing part of the game, I do, but I think it's time to make a new one. In many aspects, I just in general, for the general public, the cameo system did not and is still not going over well. And the story, rather than just do a new story and inject it into this game, just start from scratch, man. Do something timeline wise that says these last two games story wise doesn't exist, and just redo it.
Yeah, I guess I can see, because the thing is right now, because I got back into the game because I took like a 2-month hiatus from it, but lately I feel like the cameo system, I don't know if it's because they've been patching things or it's because I was just burnt out and now I feel like better in it, but I feel like the cameo system just feels like better, like in terms of balance, than it did when I left.
So you're enjoying
it?
it?
Is better. It is.
Yeah.
Better.
Oh, I did enjoy it, but I was burnt out on it, and now that I'm back, I feel like I don't know if they patch things, but it feels like way better than when I left. Like
I don't know.
the cameo system
Tom's
feels
saying
more
it's the
balanced.
best fighting game in the world right now, so they must have done something.
I think it is.
Ever.
Okay, so here's my thing on it. I think that Mortal Kombat 1, out of all the NRS games, I think it's the best one since MK9. Because MKX, like, it's pretty good, but it just kind of feel over the top where it's like too fast. And MK11 was just way too slow. I did not like MK11 that much. Like, I played it mainly for the single player content, but as for online stuff, I didn't really play it too much. MK1, like, it's like they nailed the movement just right, where it's not too fast, but it's not too slow. The only thing I really have to complain about it would be like the air characters, because this game doesn't really treat air combos that well. There's like so many ways you can anti-air in this game. It's way too easy. But I was talking to a couple casual players, and the thing about one of the things that I just realized why this game is doing so good the way it is because a lot of the casuals, you got to keep in mind, they don't really play online. They just do single player content, you know? And a lot of them like invasions. I personally don't really care too much about it. Like, I tried it for the first 2 seasons, but I was like, okay, I get the idea. But I mainly played ranked and like just regular like casual online. But most of the people that I've talked to, they say that Invasions is good and it's been getting better over the past few seasons. And
Did they
that's
say how Invasions was getting better?
so based on what, because I have a couple friends in real life that like they play like Street Fighter
They're
6
just
and Tekken 8,
recycling them.
But what they basically told me, because I haven't been playing Invasions, is that they basically added more ways to like beat stuff, I guess you could say. And because when it first came out, a lot of the stuff was kind of like strict on how you did certain objectives, I guess you could say. I don't entirely know, but they say it's more enjoyable now. And the thing about them that keeps them coming back to this game is every season there's like a new gear, Whereas in Tekken 8, like once you beat like the campaign, right, you don't really have much to do aside from online, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah, I
that's
don't
the
know. I mean, hey,
Yeah, but
I
I mean,
played.
aren't they just recycling the previous Invasion seasons over and over and over again now?
well, they are now, yeah. But here's the thing, though: they're still adding new content in those seasons.
But is the gameplay actually fun though? Or is it just they're going for the content?
Well, they say it's fun because so to me, I feel like the fights themselves are too easy, but that's just because I play online. But to them, they say it's enjoyable, and they're getting new gear while they're at it. And even though, so ever since Chaos Reigns came out, they went back to like season 1 where it was Scorpion season, and then so on. But the thing is, so they're still adding new content in those seasons. So I know they recently added Sector and Cyrax MK11 skin, the one that never
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah, well, listen. If people are enjoying Invasions, I mean, they keep on updating it and they keep on doing new seasons, so maybe people are enjoying it. That's
Yeah,
fair enough. Like, I don't. If people are having a good time, I got no problem with that. I personally can't see how you could have a good time on that after playing it, but I did. I have played. Was it? It was Scorpion season that was the first one, right?
that's what I did too. Like I thought it was, like I'm gonna be honest, man. I thought it was okay, but like there was like the battles. I get the content stuff, like people like to grind content, but I thought the battles themselves were just like too easy, because they end after one round. There's no 2-round battles.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will admit I am the wrong person to do a critique of Invasions because most of the time when I play a fighting game, I kind of ignore everything else around it and go straight for the combat. So
Yeah.
I know that having offline modes is good for casuals, and I think MKs usually they historically have done a good job. Invasions, obviously, everyone knows my opinion on Invasions, but when I did play Invasions, just the like it reminded me of the original Deadly Alliance like training mode, story mode thing they had, where you'd sort of like go up the ladder with Shujinko and do the fights and like get people's abilities. And I found it so boring. I was just like, oh, it felt like they've gone back to that and done a worse job. But maybe they've improved it since I last
What
played.
about Injustice 2? Because honestly, that was probably my favorite one. I remember I grinded that one out like a lot, like the where they had the multiverse thing.
I be honest with you, I don't think I ever played it. I played the story mode and then I went online, so I don't even remember it.
It's kind of like Invasions, but without the board game part, where it's just like the battles, and there's like a bunch of like random modifiers. But the battles themselves, in my opinion, were way better there because it wasn't just like brain dead easy, and it gave you the same content. The only thing I did not like about Injustice 2 was the
I
loot
did
boxes.
Star Labs and Injustice 1, but I don't think I did much outside of just the regular story in 2.
I never played Injustice 1 like on the console, so I don't really know. But Injustice 2, I remember I grinded the multiverse thing like a lot, and that's the one I remember that one was really good. And MK11's Towers of Time was okay, although I didn't think it was as good as Injustice 2. But I do think that MK11 has better single player content than MK1 does right now. But MK1, I know they added that back too when Chaos Reigns came out. I just haven't tried it yet. The Towers of Time.
In my opinion, the gold standard of offline fighting game content is the 3D Mortal Kombat games, like Chess Combat and their little Tetris game and Motor Combat and all of that stuff. Conquest mode, they nailed it. Mortal Kombat absolutely nailed it. I don't know why they won't go back to doing those things because I spent a lot of time on Chess Combat.
I mean, it is gold, like you said. It's gold. They're sitting on gold.
I think it's
Yeah.
because they said they stretched themselves thin. I think that's what somebody said, one of the developers.
They could just do one. Like they don't have to do
Yeah.
like 10 mini games. Just pick one. It doesn't have to be. I know Mortal Kombat looked like they put a lot of time into that, but just pick one and update it every now and then. I think people will be happy
Spread
with that.
themselves thin. They do that now.
Oh yeah, that is true. But I mean, like, it's because they're always trying to outdo themselves. But if I had to like bring something back, I'd say Motor Combat for sure. That'd be like the one thing I would bring back first. But I wouldn't bring back, like Mike said, like 10 mini games. That would be a bit too much, you know.
Yeah,
If
there's
that
no
is the
need for that.
problem. Yeah.
I think that NRS will do a really good Shaolin Monks too, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know about the gameplay, but they clearly want to do like a movie style game. A
Yeah.
lot of their resources go into like the cutscenes and the story craft, and even though it hasn't been great, you can see where their effort goes. I think they should cool off on the fighting games for a little bit and do Shaolin Monks too. I think that might be they might actually be able to pull that one off.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because I honestly I don't think Injustice 3 is going to be happening anytime soon with all the stuff that's going around in DC right now. But
Yeah, yeah,
I,
DC's a
I
mess
think I
right now.
think they're either going to make a Mortal because honestly what I think is from what we've been hearing about that story expansion, I don't know the ins and outs of it because I've only watched your video and Dynasty's video, but if
Mm.
they are working on another expansion, I'm assuming that's going to be another combat pack and I don't know what's going to happen after that, but if there's going to be another game, from what I've been hearing, if they're making another game, it's going to be like Mortal Kombat 1, but the sequel to it, you know? And I really don't want them to do that because then we'd be back at square one with how the game launched unbalanced.
Yeah, we don't need an MK1 follow up. We
Yeah.
don't need an MK1 follow up. I mean, listen, apparently they've done a good job with turning it around. Tom's a
Yeah,
big
they
fan
have.
now.
I can say, because I was there since day one. So, like, the first few months were pretty good, but, like, once the rose tinted glasses wore off, you know, like, you start to see how the game really is at a technical level, and you're like,
Mm.
man, they still haven't fixed this. But I will say, over the past few years, they've, like, done a good job of just, like, fixing everything and just balancing everything out.
Yeah.
I personally don't. I do not want them to work on another one just yet. I'd rather than just kind of like flesh this one out, like at least one more combat pack, and then see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
find out soon because it's kind of at the end. This is usually around the time where they pull the plug on Mortal Kombat, so we'll see if they keep going.
Yeah,
I
well, the
don't.
thing is with Mortal Kombat 11, though, they didn't pull the plug necessarily because of content. I think that was because of COVID, though, wasn't it?
I don't know. It's just around this time.
Yeah.
Like it's always 2 years and a bit, and then we move on. So we'll see.
Okay. Well,
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Gonna get the
Yeah.
next caller in here.
you guys have a great day.
All right, bro. Take care.
You too.
All right, Tom. You still? Tom, are you working?
Good to go.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Bring in Jafar. Jafar, could you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, dude.
Awesome, just making sure. So, I did want to ask about your guys' thoughts on why Mortal Kombat has very low tournament participation. Would you?
Very low what? He's
Yeah.
he's very low. Well,
Yeah,
Welcome has very low
he
what?
said very low tournament participation.
Would you guys think it's because the MK1 scene is typically younger than the Street Fighter or the Tekken 6 scene? Sorry, Tekken 8?
Tom, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, no, I think it's because they just don't like it. It's not about money because people, and I don't know why people have a hard time grasping this. Look, I love it, but it's not for everybody, I guess. I think it's because, again, people do things every day in their life where they spend money, and what they're getting out of it is, the enjoyment they have doing it. Like, people are not a stranger to spending money. They won't even go to like a regional tournament, but they'll go to watch a movie and with their friends, and they'll grab some dinner afterwards, and they'll go out and they'll spend like $20 on the movie, maybe $30 on their dinner, whatever, $50 gone, but they won't drive to a regional. You know what I mean? Like an hour away. There are many people who do things in their life every day where they don't get money back, but they do it because they enjoy it. And look, we're all familiar with the concept of spending money to do something that we enjoy, even if we're not getting money back. Gaming is the same way. That's how tournaments started. Why am I going to spend money for this? I know I'm not getting anything back. Well, because you enjoy it, you enjoy the game, you enjoy the people you're going to play. When those factors are, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, you're not going to travel for it. And I think MK, unfortunately, is there. I think the cameo system is an acquired taste, and I just don't think it resonated well, even though they have fixed it and done a lot. I shouldn't say fixed it, but they've done a lot to make it better, but it's just an acquired taste, and it just, unfortunately, most people don't like it.
I do agree, but would you say that since typically the online participation for the online tournaments tend to be higher for Mortal Kombat 1, right?
I think the online participation for Mortal Kombat 1 is abysmal for where it should be.
That's
Personally, I mean, when Chaos Reigns came out, Tampa Never Sleeps that had a few hundred, like 200-300 for Tekken and Street Fighter, had like what 40 or 24, something like that for Mortal Kombat, and it's the week of Chaos Reigns, the first tournament in Chaos Reigns. It's an online tournament. Why? And MK players will say, "Oh no, it's not Champions of the Realm," or "This is what MK players do." Well, that's Evo. It's not. We like to go to. What do they say, Mike? We like to go to, whatever it's called, Combo Breaker. That's our Evo. And then Combo Breaker shows up. Well, Evo's in Vegas, so more people. They're always shifting the goalposts. It's always, this doesn't count. This is not our tournament. It's not this. It's not that. In the end, it's just not getting the attendance on or offline that it should or that it deserves. And I don't want to say it's because it's not a good game, because it's an amazingly fantastic, great, just unbelievable product. But I just feel like, whenever you try something new, you run the risk that they did. And they tried something new and it just didn't resonate like they thought. And they've improved on it significantly, but it's just not for everyone. Traditionally, fighting games that are in tag don't like a tag element, even if it's an assist. They didn't add assist to Street Fighter, they made Marvel. If they tried to make Street Fighter tag instead of making Marvel, it wouldn't have gone over well.
Right. It's just that because
Jafar, I think you gotta turn your mic up a little bit, bro. You're quite quiet.
So sorry, is this better?
Did you turn it up? If you turn it up, you'll sound a lot louder.
Okay. It's my first time using this. I'm so sorry.
No, that's alright. If you click on the 3 dots on your name, it should say edit mic settings and you can turn yourself up.
Oh. Is this better?
Say again?
Is this better?
Yeah, it's a bit better.
Sorry. Because usually the average Mortal Kombat 1 player is in their 20s. I'm 20. I'm a college student. As much as I would love to go to like Evo, Combo Breaker, there's like tuition. I have rent. I have a car payment. I'm not saying that like the average person doesn't, but because usually the MK player is in their 20s or early 20s, it's just not seen as a good investment. Other than, it's just not seen as worth it as going to like Red Lobster and buying like $100 lobster than just going traveling.
I agree with you. There is a lot of truth in that. Things are very expensive, and MK players are traditionally younger. That being said, the reason for that is MK likes to do a cataclysmic event every 1 to 2 games where they will, like 9 to X is much different, but it's still resonated enough with the community. And then comes 11 where they drop the Chicxulub meteor right on everybody and they cause an extinction event. MK is constantly causing extinction level events on its community, NRS is, and they're always restarting. So because of that, that's why you see a lot of young players. I mean, NRS obviously knows this, they just don't care. It's always going to be out with the old, in with the new, and that includes the players, which is going to affect your tournament scene. And I feel like that MK9 was one way. If MKX built on it to some extent, it still kept the soul of Mortal Kombat around. Maybe they just got lucky. Maybe they made MKX, and even though it was different, it resonated enough to keep a lot of the MK9 audience around and bring in new players. Maybe MKX was just like the perfect. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it really was luck. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin saying, "All 316s, that I just whipped your ass after beating Jake Roberts." It could have just been that lightning rod moment that they've been chasing but have never been able to recapture.
That's fair because personally, Mortal Kombat 11 is my favorite Mortal Kombat game, and I've played them all. If I could have participated in tournaments back then, I probably would have because I think Mortal Kombat 11 is criminally underrated in the NRS community, but that's just my opinion.
That's fair.
But yeah, thank you so much for bringing me on. I love both of your videos. Tom, your rants got me through a lot of my college classes, so thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Take care, man. All right. I think we got 2 more people as it stands. Let's get Spotting Cheaters back in here. Can you hear us? Alright, Spotting Cheaters. This is the second time, bro. Can you hear us? Guess not. Oh, let's get let's get Dragon Zero in here. Dragon, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I hear
we
you,
can
brother.
hear you, bro.
Hey, so first of all, just want to say, hey Mike, thank you so much for what you do. I recently discovered your channel a couple of months ago, and definitely one of the best contents FGC related. And Tom, glad I'm speaking with you, man. You were one of the first streams that I tuned in on Mortal Kombat X to get myself into actual competitive mindset on fighting games. So it's nice talking to you.
That's because I think it was the first ever MKX stream. I think it was.
Yeah, no, I remember it was on back on Twitch. I remember you had your whole channel there. But yeah, that was many years ago. So the one thing that I want to talk to you guys, I think maybe Tom, you can, given that you have been on the MKM community like for so many years, is what is your opinion of like the actual community status right now? I actually was reading to MKX. I tried MK11. There wasn't a fun factor for me there. I don't know what happened. Like the game is really simplistic. I'm casual, like I'm mid-level. I'm not really like, pro or anything. I just play for fun and really like to learn, blue scene, studying my bots and all that. But try MK1 again, like it didn't have the fun factor. But I think one of the things that I don't know if this was brought up before is how the community really treats knowledge online. Because I think one of the funnest part is like trying to lose, and then you study, you get access to videos online on combos, on like tech. And given that I was in the DVFC community a lot, like it was super organized. Like people have character discords, they have tons of YouTube videos, well structured, well explained. I just feel that really that's lacking in Mortal Kombat, and I don't know. For me, also was a turn down, and I don't know what's your thoughts on that. Is knowledge sharing seems really scarce, and I know there's YouTubers and all that, but I think the content is not really well structured for like casual people to learn, and I think that's also like I guess one of the barriers of why people complain a lot of learning is because there's not knowledge out there that people can just easily access, like a Discord specific for a character that you play or stuff like that.
When I get a phone call from work, it just boots me out.
Oh, did you hear what he said?
No, say it again. I'm sorry. It was an adjuster calling me, and so I had to take it.
No, it's
I'm
okay.
sorry, man.
That's Dragon. Are you okay repeating that too?
Yeah, no worries. No, just very quick, Tom. Like what I was saying is like, besides obviously the gameplay is not super fun. I don't know what it is I don't find it a fun factor as let's say DVFC, because I haven't played DVFC since the game launch, and I love the game. Obviously they butcher with the latest patches, but I was saying like maybe also it's really hard for people to get into learning mindset because of how the knowledge about the MK games haven't, I want to say like centralized or lacking a structure, because the DBSA community, one of the best things is that the community is really good. Like there's not a lot of trash talking or like shit talking online. It's mostly focused on the game. People are sharing tech all the time on Twitter. There's Twitter tags for specific characters and discourse for specific characters or tech. So I was just going to ask you about your take on that. Do you think that also contributes to like the community not being as centralized, having leadership, because obviously people are just playing but not really sharing the tech. And I don't know, I just feel that's also a contributing factor for me not having fun in the game, because I cannot see ways to how can I learn besides just random combo videos on YouTube. And there's no Discord people that I can play out to level up.
As long as the FGC is Twitter, there is no community, because Twitter is not a community.
Twitter's where ideas go to die.
Yes.
Yeah, but what is like your, like, I mean, do you think it's better than, like, I don't know, I feel like there should be a place where centralized knowledge of fighting games, and I think like
the age of forums are dead. That's
Yeah,
why.
there used to be.
Yeah.
There used to
Those
be.
days
We used to have Neo Empire, Tekken Zaibatsu, Capcom Unity, and everybody was sharing knowledge and sharing tech together. There was even a Soul Calibur one. I can't remember what its name was, but we had Test Your Might was really big back then. I know it's still around, but it's not that big anymore. But when everything sort of went to like Facebook and we had and Twitter and all these other little places, it just changed, because like we didn't really have that, like, that core group of people that were happy to share the knowledge. It was just everyone was just sharing their opinions, and it's good to get everyone's opinions, but there's pros and cons to everything. And unfortunately, the cons is on 8-way run, that was it, Soul Calibur, on Twitter. Like, you get a lot of people that they play the games, but they don't necessarily understand them to the same levels as some other people might, and when they hear you say something, the conversation just turns into insults. I mean, I was literally talking to somebody today about Bleach, and we were trying to like figure out who the best and worst characters are, and I made a comment, and I was like, yeah, I think Bankai Ichigo is the best character, and this guy just started attacking me. I was just like, bro, it's just a game, you know. But that never used to happen back on the forums. We would share knowledge, and we would talk about why we thought he was the best character, and then we would like try to figure things out and then come back and post, because the internet wasn't that good back then. So that's gone now.
No, I feel that, and I think that's like what made the DBFC community, or still makes the DBFC community really good, is that they are more, you know, there's not a discourse or people attacking each other. It's more like, hey, this is a tech combo, let's just share it, let's just talk about it. And I feel that makes a healthy fighting game community. Because when I went back and, you know, trying to get into MK, when MK1 came out, I tried for a couple of months. I just dropped it, as many people did. I just also find that, wow, like the community is just not fun to be around. Like, it's a lot of like people attacking each other, just toxicity. Like, it's, I don't know, for me also that contributes, I guess, like to not the fun factor overall of learning. And also, like as you mentioned, like the lack of knowledge sharing, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, in terms of like knowledge sharing, that I guess we've got Discord, and I guess we've got our own little communities that we can do it with. But the forum era of fighting games is long dead, and I don't think it's ever going to come back. And it's a shame, because there was, I mean, Capcom Unity was one of my favorites. There were some really cool guys on there, and I'm still friends with them now. But you don't get that anymore. I mean, I'm lucky, and I guess Tom's lucky, and other content creators where they can have their own communities and they can do streams and talk in Discord.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people that want to, like, you know, do that sort of thing, and maybe they ain't got friends, or they haven't got like anyone to reach out to, it can be a little bit difficult, especially when you're not well known but you're very good at something, and then people like, oh, you know, you're cheating or you're a bum or whatever. They don't want to help you because you're playing a character that they think is too strong. So I don't know what the overall remedy is for that.
No, that's a fair point. Sorry, go ahead.
No, forums, man. I mean, those days are over. I mean, Twitter is not community, but unfortunately, it has substituted as one, and it's just not a community.
Yeah. But I mean, there's good things about what we have now, I guess. I mean, we can speak to more people, even though there's a lot of, like, you have to sift through the BS. And it seems like the online culture is becoming more and more volatile. I don't know. I still end up having good conversations and sharing stuff with people. So I just I accept that online's a bit of a mess, but there is good in it, and I just try to focus on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. And I think that the one last thing that I just wanted to ask Tom is like, I don't know what's happening with MK. I don't know if they're gonna make a new game or they're gonna wait to Justice 3. I mean, we probably need to wait and see. I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts on like a mechanic that was fun, but I'm not sure if how the community, like top level players, really feel about it, and that's the running mechanic. Would you like to see a return in the next upcoming? In the next game from MK? For me, I don't know. For me, it feels like UMK3. I played that when I was little. Like my cousins like had Mortal Kombat trilogy, and I love that mechanic. And seeing an MKX really made me get into that game. But I don't know. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's maybe too much for core gameplay? For me, it was really fun, but I want to get your thoughts on that.
I don't mind the run so much as I minded run, and then everyone's got obnoxious 50-50s combined with run. I think that's where the issue was, not so much with run itself. I think run is fine. It allows them to bring back powerful zoning, another type of powerful defensive tools, because you can run. But they should, the 50-50s have got to go. Like, forced 50-50s are the death of fighting games. Like, a 50-50 is such a powerful tool. A 50-50 that is unreactable. If you had to just stand there and allowed a chimpanzee to do an overhead or a low, they were both unreactable, the chimpanzee would open you up at least a few times. Games got to start. It's stupid.
Did you have any other questions, Dragon?
No, I think that was it. Yeah, I was just going to kind of like second that. Like, I think, MKX, I think like the reason why people weren't happy with running was because, some characters have like 50-50s built into their normal, so it was obnoxious. But if they bring it back in a way that is, I will say, just for spacing and for footsies, like I think that can be fun. I don't know what you think, Mike.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of Bleach right now because Bleach is a much slower paced, neutral / footsie heavy game. It's very like big on whiff punishing. You can obviously rush down in the game, but it's got very, very good defensive mechanics. One right now that's a bit too strong, that needs to be toned down. But yeah, I prefer fighting games that are a little bit slower and a little bit more controlled. Like, that's why you'll never see me play Marvel vs. Capcom. I love watching it, but playing that looks like a nightmare. I like Samurai Showdown. I like Soul Calibur 5 over 6 because 6 is very chaotic. So I would like fighting games to return to like less nutty, like over the top explosions and rush down and more slow. I like Street Fighter 4, right? There's a lot of setups in Street Fighter 4, and I think towards Ultra it did get a bit more crazy, but throughout the game's lifespan it was quite defensive. Like, you could play at a very slow pace. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of really, really heavy rush down fighting games.
Gotcha. No, that's fair.
Alright, bro. Well, I appreciate you jumping on.
No, thank you so much, guys, for having me. Have a good one.
No worries, man. Take care. Alright, Tom. I just got a text from somebody, so I'm gonna have these next callers come in and then probably call it there if that's alright with you. Tom? Okay, guess Tom's not here. He's probably on a phone call. But yeah, I'm going to get the next two callers in. Guys, if you're in the back and you can hear me, try and keep your question.
Mike,
yeah, I
can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me?
now.
There we go.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think the forum days, do you think that they would have a drastic turnaround? Because the thing about a forum is, it's a more communal aspect. Stupid people talking stupid stuff are more likely to get shut down because more knowledge is shared. On Twitter, it's just too many people. You can't reason with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever come back? I mean, I know forums got shut down because of Twitter. I mean, Twitter replaced
Nah,
forums.
they're not coming back.
No.
There's no way. I mean, they're still there. It's just no one uses them. Like some of them are still there. The test job might still there, but they've all gone to Reddit, and Reddit is even worse than Twitter. Trying to get a word out in Reddit without like it, especially if they know who you are. It's just, I mean, Chad the Third could tell you what the Virtua Fighter Reddit did to him. So, it's fine. Like I don't mind.
Discord
it's all good.
groups. Like I tried a Discord group. Man, it was just. I think
Discord's been alright. It's been okay for me, but it's definitely not like the forums. The forums were definitely the best place to pick up knowledge.
I had to close my Discord down. It got so bad. Like people just came in there just to tell me to like go to hell or whatever. Like it was. I was like, my God, did these people not have a boundary? So I never went in there. And then nobody else. It was just not active. People, I don't know. It was dumb.
Yeah, Discord raids can be a bit annoying.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that there's two more guys that are going to come in here and talk. I know that they can probably hear me. Guys, try to keep your questions as concise as possible because I've got a text and I need to leave the house soon. So I'm going to bring in CJ first and then Kaneko and then we'll call it there. Alright. CJ, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, cool. I don't have a question. I just, real quick, I know there's you press for time and everything like that. What I wanted to speak about real quick is there's something going on between the Mortal Kombat community and the NRS devs as far as how the games are made. Like for instance, I don't know. Like you probably already noticed this, but like say for instance, Mortal Kombat X, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's fast paced. It's basically combo potential, heavy combo potential, 50-50s. Now, there are some of the things, those are some of the things that some people in the community didn't like. Okay? And they complained about that. Oh, it's too aggressive. It's too this. It's too that. It's too this. It's too that. It's too this. And then, they don't like getting punished. They don't like getting like beat up in a corner. Things like things of that nature. So, what does NRS do? They make Mortal Kombat 11, right? They make Mortal Kombat 11, less combo potential. They try to balance it out, more balanced. But like I said, it's slow paced now, and people are saying that some people like it, some people don't. And now there's the people that don't like it are saying like, oh, it's not fun anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not fun. It's slow. It's not. There's no. You can't do many combos. Then NetherRealm says, okay, we're going to make Mortal Kombat 1. We're going to implement cameos so you can do more combos. So you have more combo potential. And we all know how everybody feels about cameos at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's basically the Mortal Kombat community as a whole is not basically together on one fighting game.
Yeah, well, they can't be, can they?
And NetherRealm Studios, they do listen to a point, I will say, in the next game, but it's how they go about making those changes. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
They put in cameos, even though we didn't ask for cameos. Do you notice? Do you notice? You know what's going on, right? Like you notice that
they just wipe the slate clean every time. They don't have any legacy. That's why the scene is so fractured.
People didn't have a problem with Run as much as they had a problem with Run, and then the 50. Everything was the 50-50. If they scaled back 95% of the 50-50 situations,
it's like everybody has their own preference of Mortal Kombat. Like you seen some people already talked before me saying that they like Mortal Kombat 11, or and I seen your face, Mike.
No,
Well, this
I'm
is
just
the
laughing. I'm
problem.
laughing at the
What
chat.
is
It's the
I
chat.
saw
The
your
what is
face.
chat.
Mortal Kombat?
Oh,
When people say like Tekken 8 is not Tekken, when people say Tekken 8 isn't Tekken, or back in the old days, Tekken 4 isn't Tekken, people have a good idea of what Tekken is. The 99% of the community. Same with Street Fighter. When people say MK isn't MK, there's like 10 different definitions that multiple groups have of what is or isn't MK. What is MK? Nobody can answer that. And
nobody can. That's what I'm saying. Nobody can. Everybody has their own perception, their own vision of Mortal Kombat, what Mortal Kombat is supposed to be,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
and that
worse
and
now
that
than
and that
ever.
and that itself, in itself, is a problem.
Yeah.
That in
But
itself is a problem. Me, on the other hand, I don't have no problem adapting from one Mortal Kombat game to another. But like I said, I'm neutral with the cameo system. But I get what people are saying. Like they don't see Mortal Kombat as an assist fighter. At the end of the day, that's not what it's known for. I
yeah.
get that. So I think it's like probably Legacy probably would be the best bet to go. Like if they start like they just start a legacy, like just try to
but
make it more
again,
legacy. But
how do you
you know,
again, this goes back to the theme of the stream. How does that happen? I mean, like, for example, the first year of the game, you have a lot of so here's the problem. Let's say Mike Hollow today goes to critique the game and says, look, the first year, I mean, how can anyone defend that? This is what they say. But Mike, no one does defend that. The truth is, if you go back and look at every main content creator, if they kept their videos up, unlike me, which took
are
my
you tell so
downtime,
hold on, Tom. You talking about content creators or just regular people?
it, it,
Just to make sure.
who do you think influences regular people?
Okay, I'm just checking. I'm just checking because like there's people. I'm just saying, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Aren't these the same regular people that says Mike Hollow? Why you got to be so negative? Why you got to be the hater? Why you got to be the face of hate? Aren't these regular people?
I'm talking about people who are not content creators, but
Well,
you
they're
saying that
everybody.
people have. You talking about the people who are influencing, right?
Well,
Basically the influencers.
they influence people, don't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so my point is, if Mike says, "Come on, man, like look at how bad the first year is," first response is, "But Mike, everybody knows that." That's great. Just this is just a classic example of how the Mortal Kombat community does what I call again. I know you people are young; they don't know what the term means. Revisionist history. It basically means people revise history. They change it. They revise it to what they want it to be, and they tell their version of it. People will say, "Well, everyone knew that," but yet, how many times, every patch, the major content creator, did this save the game? Is the game saved? The game is saved. Now the game is saved. Now the game is saved. Every patch, the best place it's ever been. The game is saved. The game is saved. That is a different message, or is the game saved? A different message from no, nothing is being done. It's not enough. It's still in a bad place. That's a different message. They will tell you now everybody agrees that it was, but at the time, none of them agreed that it was. And in fact, if you said it was, you were. See, this is the thing. They get to say it now. Yeah, we all know it was that way. They get to say what a lot of us said, and they're not branded as negative. They're just telling the truth. But yet, when we said it, it wasn't telling the truth. It was being negative. That is the problem again with monetization. That again, you can't ever say what is MK because nobody knows what it is. And no matter what you say about cameo system of whatever, no matter what state the game is in, it will always tell you it's in the best place ever, better than it was ever was, and the game is now saved. Even though now they'll say, no, we know it never was, it was bad.
Oh, I know. I mean,
You
I know it
can't,
started off bad.
you can never,
I know myself. It started off bad. It had so
you
many
can
damn
never,
bugs.
okay, but if you said it was bad when it was bad, you were the devil.
Well,
In fact, Mike did a debate. I think we had Dave on, or anybody that talks to Mike. When Mike says that, the first thing they says is, "Okay, but everybody agrees with that, and it's not that way now."
yeah.
Next subject. No. Not everybody did
See,
agree with it. They agree with it
this is the
now.
reason why. This is the reason why I'm glad Blood Count just basically revealed everything, and he was the one that was working with another Realm Studios in the
Man, we've
first
all
place.
known this. Anyone who's ever been there has
But
known these things. Mike,
well,
true or false? They agree to that now, but they didn't agree to it then.
Yeah. I remember when I first started
there's
making
things.
my
I'm just saying. There's
MK1.
things. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I remember when I first started doing my MK1 videos, like really critical of them. I remember some of the messages I got, and I would speak to them, and I always say to them, like, you really hate my video, but the entire time we've been speaking, you haven't once said that I've lied about anything. So I said to him, I understand your hate. Like, you don't like what I'm saying about your favorite game. I get it, because I don't really like it when people say stuff about, like, when I was a kid, I didn't like it when people say stuff about Dragon Ball or One Piece. So I get it, but like you won't say that I'm lying about the game, which is to me is always the most telling thing out of all of this. If you won't say that I'm lying, or if you can't pull up where I lied, then you calling me negative doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's things that I thought I knew with another Realm Studios. I thought they needed more time, but like I said, Blood Count cleared that up. There's some things that I didn't know. I admit that. But I just want to see. I just want to like shed the light. Like, listen, this is what I'm seeing. As far as people not really having their own, like, basically having their own perception of what the game is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think
And
what
this
the
is
Tekken
why.
community is doing is the best thing. This is what should happen: a mass mutiny or a mass ejection from the game, with all the content creators saying this is not fucking good. So the developers have nowhere to go. You know, stop being patrons of the studio, stop being patrons of the game, stop playing it, stop whatever, and
But
move
when you think
on.
about it,
But that's not going to happen when you do it
Tekken
for a
is.
living.
But when you think about it, Tekken has been more of a legacy game, way more of a legacy game than Mortal Kombat, though. So I can understand why they're fucking upset.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people say
Mortal Kombat really isn't. Go ahead.
People
Go
say
ahead, man.
stop talking about it and stop playing it. Notice, here's the problem. People don't say stop playing it. If you read the old comments of my YouTube videos, which, by the way, again, I took them down, how many times do I have to read how shit my videos are? Just say, okay, well, if you don't like them, I'll just take them down. Problem solved. The fact of the matter is, how many times did you read comments or feedback now, still? Why, and Mike, you know this. Why don't you shut up about it? Stop talking about it. And then these same people will reference the great Lord Aris and say, see? No, see, what Aris said was stop playing it. He didn't say stop talking about it. I agree. Stop playing it. Let the tournament numbers drop off. Let the online numbers go to be something abysmal so that it gets noticed. Let the sales go to something abysmal, but still crucify the shit out of them every minute of every day so that they know exactly why this is happening. Lord Aris didn't say stop butchering them, stop roasting them over coal. He said just stop playing the fucking game. And he's right. Stop playing it, stop buying everything, stop showing up for it, but keep your voice as loud as possible. The problem is people take what Aris says and says, oh, he means just shut up and stop talking about it and move on. No, move on, but keep talking about it to raise awareness of it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
let me get the next caller in here because we're running short on time here.
All right.
All right, bro. I appreciate you jumping on.
Yep.
All right. All right. There's two more guys now. Guys in the back, please hear me now. Please keep your questions concise. We're running short on time here. Okay, and chat, stop your bullshit, okay? Because I'm trying to listen to what people are saying, and you're making me laugh. All right, let me get Kaneko in here. Hey, bro, you right?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. I didn't really have like much of a question, but I could turn it into a question. It was when Chad was here talking about these companies trying to be like basically the next COD with their games, even though they're not COD. They don't match the genre, which is first-person shooters. And drop the paragraphs. Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't know why they don't adapt the Nintendo mentality where they can have multiple successes. They have multiple pots where they can invest in, and have their games be small successes as a whole, and just basically be happy with that level of success. For example, they still release to this day Metroid games, and they don't sell like Mario. They don't sell like their Zelda games. They release as a second party game, Xenoblade Chronicles, for example. It's an RPG. It can be daunting for a lot of casuals. And I don't understand why WB or NetherRealm, by an extension. I don't know if they want to seem useful. I don't know if it's like an image branding thing where they always want to have like a market presence by releasing a new product every 2 years, and it's not much of a concern of like, oh, this is a big risk to release a brand new game that we have to start from scratch, because a lot of these games I feel like they're like huge risks, and I don't understand why they can't just make a really good MK, or not even really good, but a sustainable MK, where they add a bunch of casual modes like Mortal Kombat, chess combat, maybe a test your mind, test your sight, like Deadly Alliance, with online leaderboards, online PvP, versus play, team battles in lobbies, for example, or even things like even tag as an extra mode with its own ranking system. I don't understand why they can't just literally make this complete package that is still sustainable, and you surround the whole game with obviously like skins like Fortnite. Try to like fortify the game, but only on the cosmetics. I don't understand why they can't just do that and just be Nintendo. So I don't know. I just want to get MK.
A million
Yeah.
reasons, and I'll try to be quick because I know a million reasons.
Yeah.
One, because people would like it. MK11 was so shit, and MK1 came out worse. That if they were to release, let's say we're going to release MK9 with modern technology, we were able to correct the coding and the bug. The game is not patched together by duct tape anymore. We were able to fix some of these bugs and glitches that we couldn't get out of the game. Random player advantage, random frame advantage, input bugs, so on and so forth. And we were able to fix Cyrex and smoke and whatever. Now finally, whatever. I think people would like it, which is the problem, because one, it makes them look foolish. Like, hey, this is what people have always wanted, and or even MK Deadly Alliance, people would like it. It would kill the current game, and if they released another wild hair idea, people would say, what are you doing? We wanted this. That's one. Two, the community says they want things like this, but they don't do it. MK, so with Smash, you could tell with that community they were passionate about Melee. They created Dolphin literally just to run it. They literally created their own fucking emulator to play a game that doesn't have netcode. Do you know how hard that is? Isn't GGPO a Smash community creation?
No, GGPO has been around.
But
since
they
like Third
implement it,
Strike.
right? You know how hard it is to implement rollback
Yeah.
into a game that has no online playability at all? They literally, do you know the passion that takes? The passion project that takes? It was literally them against Nintendo. Mortal Kombat, they don't have a community like that. For one, MK9 is what it is. They're not going to do it. But guess what? They can't do it. Technology isn't there for players to do it. Well, maybe it is, but no one in the community is going to do it. Well, we have MKX. You can literally play MKX right now on PS5. Play MKX right now with GGPO on PS5. Who really doesn't? In fact, the community does nothing to support anyone who would even have a harebrained idea for people to go back to it. They will do outside of maybe Destroyer and the occasional random Mr. Aquaman event, which is rare for MKX. Great for MK1. Love what he's doing for the series and the game. I can't give Aquaman enough credit. Destroyer as well. But really, MKX is like, you're the devil. You're some scrub who couldn't cut it, who's living in the past. Everything negative. There is nothing incentivizing anyone to go back and play it. So if you're NetherRealm and you say, well, wait a minute, if MK9 and MK, we put up polls, MKX wins every time, right, Mike? You put all the Mortal Kombats, normally it's X because it just had more players than 9, X by a landslide, then 9, decent, then 11 and 1 are like at the bottom of the bottom.
Yeah.
Yet the game the community votes on and says they love is vilified the most by the community. There's no incentive to play it. No one ever tries to incentivize you to play it. The tournament organizers, online or offline, don't want to hold it, outside of maybe Combo Breaker. And news that MKX is there is, who knows that? Almost nobody. Who from MKX knows MKX is a Combo Breaker? I better come out of retirement. Nobody. And for coming out of retirement, it's seen as you get a one-off tournament only to go back into retirement. So the community doesn't act like they want it. They may say, oh, I want all these things, but they don't act like they want it. The community loves it. Oh, I would love the 3Ds. I would love it. Oh, my God. Okay, well, guess what? S-Arcade was able to, they gave you MK Deception, and I played it with those guys over there. I played it with them, and I streamed it for a couple of days. Where were the people trying to play it for fun? It was just the same 3 or 4 people playing me every day. Where are they?
Dude, I ran a poll for which Mortal Kombat game we play, and MKX won by a landslide. Tell me why when I did the stream, only one guy showed up to play. I was like, what? Like, I don't understand this, but it's just MK that's happened with, by the way, because I did it with Tekken 7, and like that was the Tekken 7 stream I did the other day was the biggest, like, just gameplay, not commentary or like what we're doing here, just gameplay stream that I've ever done. But the MKX one, that was on live support within 5 minutes of me doing it. And tomorrow we're gonna experiment again because we're doing Soul Calibur, and we'll see how many people show up for that. But yeah, the MKX stream, that was. So we're gonna start with 6, and then we'll go from there.
Oh, I only played 4, man. I loved 4.
4?
God, but Wing
4's,
Zero.
Jesus,
You know what? I was
that's not good.
I know. That was another game. They couldn't decide who was banned, who wasn't banned. When I mean, it was so stupid, man. But no, the community will say one thing. Oh yeah, the 3D games, S-Arcade, they were promoting. Hey, look, we have the 3Ds. You can play right now. We actually allow you to play on the same old GameSpy setup. Go online, create an account, and play, people. Nobody. Crickets, right? Or MK, I think they brought MK Deadly. You had to have Dolphin to do MK Deadly Alliance, but MK Deadly Alliance on Dolphin was very, very tricky because of you had to have the same memory card matching with the other one. I don't know how they got around it with S-Arcade, but it was cool. Nobody was playing it. Where me, Mike, Metroid, maybe Rio. That's it. 3 people on Earth, right? Where was the community? They're watching me and Rio stream it against each other, or Mike, Metroid, and Rio stream it, won't show up. A great fun game, looks fun. Where's everybody? MKX, you don't even need to download an emulator or download an app. All you got to do is download the game onto your PS5 and hit play. And they won't even do it. So where does it tell NetherRealm this is what they want?
Tom Brady. I can suggest one thing, and you might not like this, but I suggest that but it's like not controversial, Mike. Just open a Discord again, and when you have a lot of people coming in, obviously you're gonna rebuild your community, and you're a big household name for MK. You're gonna have a lot of people, and there's gonna be haters, of course, that are just gonna come in, try to like stir the pot. Whenever you're setting up those like streams for the night, just add everyone. Make it like a big community night and bother people, like literally ping by using the add everyone function and saying MK Daily Alliance is happening in Dolphin. Everybody get on. And when it comes to the memory card thing for Dolphin, you can set a setting that only the host memory card applies. So you don't have to worry about memory cards. It can be that simple, and you can even use save states to basically reload the game with all the unlockables already unlocked. As
Man, let me
for
just say this about
arcade,
MKX. When you bring up MKX and MK9 and my own discords for it, let me just tell you, man, I've got PTSD, brother. I mean, I can't tell you when there was a guy, I forgot his name now. I should never say, I forgot it now. How do I forget his name? He was doing an MK9 tournament edition and changing some things. And I was streaming it. And I hadn't played MK9 in over a decade. This is like doing MK11, I think, right? I haven't played MK9 in well over a decade. So he's streaming, I'm streaming it, and I'm like, whatever. And the netcode is shit. You have to play on the same shit MK9 netcode. And I haven't played in a decade on top of that. And I'm like, oh, the matches were brutal. The chat would annihilate me. You can't hack it with the new players who are this and that. I'm like, what? My chat was annihilating me. Yeah, you would think these are people that wished every day for my death and destruction. MKX, same thing. I was like, I'm going to go to MKX. Tom's living in the past. Can't cut it in the new game. Tom is shit. Take notes. Fuck that. I'll sign up for that. Look, when I was broke and I was doing it because I just wanted to, I guess, I don't know, try to be competitive. I had no money. What else am I going to do with my life? Working a shit job and whatever. And still trying to live the FGC life. Sure, I put up with it. Now, fuck no, you couldn't. Fuck that. I'd rather die than deal with that. Not in a million fucking years. I can go out any day in the real world and be insulted all the time. I don't got to do it for a stream for a bunch of people that hate my guts. I would never do it in a million years. Never do it in a million years. Never. Who cares what people think, Tom? You're right. I don't care what people think. But guess what? I'm out in the real world. I wouldn't be in an area where I'm hanging out and people are like, hey, Tom, let us tell you why we hate you so much. We'd rather slit your throat. Okay. Well, then I'll just go somewhere else and either be by myself or people who don't feel that way. That's how it is with fighting games for me. I would never be put back in that situation. And that's just what it would be again. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Never again. Never again.
all right, Tom. Well, Tom, now I know that you sometimes stream some of these games. I would highly recommend, and I would join that effort. And I would love to play some of these games and even find communities to play some of these games because I'm a well-rounded jack of all trades. I play multiple fighting games. I have a history of fighting games since I was little, since literally MK1 for the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive if you're in Europe or Japan. But I would highly encourage that you basically set up another community, literally another Discord. Literally kill all your notifications. If people tag you, you don't respond. And whenever you decide to set up a stream,
no, man, the stream chat is enough to never want me to stream again. Never again. I mean, there was a saying. I believe it's not a real word. I believe it's in this movie called The Air. Anyone that's old, there was a movie called The Air Up There with Kevin Bacon. It's a very, very old movie, early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I think the saying they used was called Jalan. I don't remember. It was just a random word that doesn't really exist, but their tribe had that word. And the meaning of it was a troll. It meant I will consider it for eternity. That's pretty much how I feel. I will consider it for all of eternity, but that's all I will do. Unbearable Skill, he has a good Discord. He streams MKX every day. If people want to learn, they can go buy Unbearable stream. They don't. Why? Great player, great personality. Always has a hype and live Discord chat going. Yet the community acts like, they'll catch leprosy if they go in there. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
All right. Understandable, Tom. I really hope that you change your mind at some point and open up a Discord, add it everyone if you want to play Deadly Alliance or any of these very, very niche games that are going to be niche nowadays. Because they're retro games, a lot of people don't care about old games. They just want to play the new hot product. And I'll be there. I'll definitely, if you literally add everyone, kill all your notifications. And just like Mike, I would doubly recommend that to Mike. When Soul Calibur 6 goes up tomorrow, sometimes I'm not looking at my YouTube notifications. Just add everyone on your Discord. Hey, Soul Calibur 6 is running. I'm live, guys. And for the people that don't want to get notified or you think it's a bother, to bother those people with a ping, they can easily just mute at everyone. But for the people that are not bothered by it, they're just gonna have it on, and they are gonna be thankful that you're letting them know that you're, adding at everyone that, hey guys, I'm live with this game, trying to fill up the rooms. Let's have some fun playing this old game, whether it's on Fightcade, Emulator, SRcade, PCSX2, or Dolphin.
Yeah, I mean, I ping everyone anyway. Like whenever I'm doing a live stream, I ping people.
I watched that MKX stream of yours, Mike. I watched it, and I said the same thing. I was only one person showed up.
Yeah, there was loads of people in the chat, but and I put, oh, it's on PlayStation, guys, and everyone came to the chat and they were like, oh, we didn't know, and I was like, what do you mean? You replied to my comments, like playing dumb, obviously. Like nobody wants to play it. People just wanted to act like they wanted to play it, which was very evident. So I won't be doing that again. But we'll see how Soul Calibur goes tomorrow. Ideally, I would rather. I think they will. It got the most votes out of any game that I've put up.
I bet
so
you they'll show up for it. I guarantee it. Yeah,
I want to do Soul Calibur 5 personally, but it's not accessible to everyone. 6 is pretty accessible to people.
The only community that demonizes the thought of going backwards is the Mortal Kombat community. Even for fun, they demonize it. Oh, for fun? Living in the past much? Oh, every necro, every fucking negative word thing they can associate with it. Only the MK community.
All right, let's get the next call in here. Kaneko, I appreciate you jumping on, bro.
Appreciate it, brother.
Last thing for Tom.
Yeah.
Tom, you need to check out if you like Deception, check out this mod called UMK Deception. It's called Ultimate Mortal Kombat Deception.
I heard about it. I might check it out. Yeah.
I know. You gotta go, Mike. Anyways, Mike, I'll see you for Soul Calibur 6 tomorrow. Thanks for reminding me. And that's it. Thank you guys for having me. And
appreciate it, man.
I'll see you guys later.
All right, take care, bro. All
like,
right,
have you ever seen the movie Mr. Deeds?
Yeah, Mr. Deeds is a great film.
I would rather, instead of stream ever again, I would rather get the Blackfoot and have them stab me with poker through it. Than
really, that bad?
Another minute. Yeah, I will never stream ever again, ever. In fact, if I ever do, I don't know that I will, check out UMK Deception. I swear to God, I will die before I stream a single fucking minute of it.
Wait, why?
Because I got it. Community, I hear it. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. I'm the worst. I'm an idiot. Live in the past. Stupid moron. Worst player ever. I got it, man. I've heard it for years. I don't need to hear it again. I always have great days. The last thing I want to do is be brought down by the very people I'm streaming for. Back when I was, maybe I had it, I don't know, whatever it was I was streaming for whatever reason. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't care. And I certainly don't need to go stream just to be insulted by people. So I'll pass on that.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair. All right, we got Sneezy as the last caller. Hey, Sneeze, what's going on? You're muted, bro. There ain't no way we're having technical difficulties right now.
No way. Mike is trying to... No way. We can't hear you, man. Is your mic muted?
Yeah, you ain't got your... You need to go into the settings and set it to your mic.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I had it set on the wrong thing. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I just wanted to hop in and talk about this real quick. I mentioned it to you on DMs earlier, but I kind of wanted to talk about Tekken 8 and like the changes that they implemented from like going from like 7 to 8, and how like players who are like, we're not casual, but we're not like, like pro level either. Like from my experience, like it's been rough. It's been really rough. So he like now with like the new balance match that came out now like he engages being +9 is that's a really good change. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, bro. Like literally, like it's like Kazuya, bro. I get a heat engager just CD1+2. Just oh my god. But so my issue is like I said, I've been competing in fighting games for like a few years now. I play Tekken 8, Street Fighter 6, and like with the new changes in like how Tekken 8 is meant to be played now, comparatively to like older Tekken games. Everybody's been struggling. Like me and Arslan were tweeting like early on saying like, oh, I don't like this game. It's really hard to like adapt to it and whatnot. But like now you see them dominating and stuff. But you have players like me, who don't have like the amount of experience and whatnot. Like, and we're still trying to learn more things. Like we're learning stuff that the pros have already like learned years ago, and we have to deal with the new changes on top of that. It feels like we've kind of been like set back a little bit, right? Like I can go online and play against somebody, and I can tell that they're not playing Tekken, they're just playing Tekken 8, right? Like they have no movement, they're not using any like lateral movement, no spacing, but I'm sitting here picking my fucking teeth off of the ground because I got hit with a heat engager, and now I have to hold all this pressure. Like it's hard because at any point in time, if you make one mistake, you can just be like in a really bad like situation, just get steamrolled from there. Like I feel like any character can really do it. Like some better than others, but are you about to say, we're gonna say something?
No, I get what you're saying.
Okay. It's like
people say that about other games. You're not playing this, but you're not playing the series. You're playing the current game, right? So, yeah, a lot of the stuff you're saying is traditional in Tekken. They just don't do any of that. They just do heat engagers, force 50-50s, so on and so forth.
Yeah. And like one thing I've definitely noticed is that the first thing that always changes when it comes to like modern fighting games and like devs wanting to make it like easier for people is that they make the system mechanics really easy and really strong. Like you look at Tekken, Heat, it's been like nerfed multiple times over like different patches and different betas and whatnot, but I still think Heat is like really strong, really easy to grasp and whatnot. Street Fighter 6, you have Drive Rush, Drive Impact, Parry, and whatnot. That's why like games like I play a lot of Guilty Gear as well. Play a lot of Xrd. Like that game, I think has like they have strong system mechanics, but not all of them are like easy to grasp. Like FD, everybody knows how to like FD, right? But then you have like instant block, and you have like blitz, like learning how to use blitz properly, and then you have character specific stuff like chip, double jump install, stuff like that. But like it feels like the lower level of play like in Tekken is like a lot more like scrambly and scrappy.
100%. There's 100 moves in the game, so it's gonna be more crazy.
Yeah, like even in like older Tekken games, like the movement was way better in those games. But if you look at like old gameplay, like I was watching a lot of like Kudons and E and whatnot to play Tekken 5, like they're going at it, but like their pokes are adding up over time. They're not, getting launched. Well, the damage in those games are really high too, but like, they're not doing like one move on block and just steamrolling from there. They're not doing like Lars running one into like, force mix up or anything like that. So I just think like, and because of like the lower level, like where I'm at, and like especially lower than that, is like really scrambly. It's really hard to play consistently. Like I'll be trying to backdash and create space, and someone goes, "Oh, here, take my heat engager," and I didn't cancel my my backdash fast enough, so I get clipped, and I like potentially lose the round for it. It's not a really like fun experience, Like I wanted to try and like get my $70 worth and try to enjoy the patch for what it is, just like revel in the chaos or whatever, right? But dude, oh my god, bro, I hit Emperor. I was so close to Tekken God last season, but I couldn't hit it. I was Emperor, and then they reset me all the way down to Fujin, and I'm still playing like the same people I was playing in Emperor,
Yeah, it's
but
rough
just
now.
in Fusion now. Yeah, it's so hard to rank up. I mean, granted, like it's really nice that like if I lose 3 times, I don't lose like a shit ton of points. But it's still really hard to try and like improve,
Yeah.
and like take take like these fundamentals that you learn about like timing and spacing and stuff and apply it when like I was saying before, like you make one mistake and the whole round could just be over just from that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What was your question?
Uh well, I didn't really have one. I kind of wanted to like bring up like a topic to discuss, but I mean, I do kind of have one that's like somewhat interesting. I was thinking about, but do you think maybe um like this might be kind of like a hot topic, but like, do you think maybe backdashing could get buffed just a little bit?
Yeah, I think buffing backdash wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I mean, they've buffed sidestepping quite heavily. It's just you can't
Mhm.
notice it right now. But
Yeah.
the sidestepping is really good in season 2. Like it's much better. We just
Oh
need
yeah.
them to reduce the tracking and the homing moves a bit, and then we'd actually be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't mind playing up close. I don't mind Tekken being a bit more aggressive, but I should have the option to bob and weave. And right now we should have it, but the game's been designed in a way where we've got a carrot being dangled in our face, and
Yeah.
it's like you can bob and weave,
Mhm.
but if you do, you'll die. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah, like for like every like one good change that you find in from like the season 2 patch, there's like 3 bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Dragonov, while setting 1+2, heat engager that launches. Like, bro, whoever chef that up, bro, tell him to put the utensils down. I swear to God.
Yeah, no, the,
Shit
the whole
is-
the whole heat thing is a mess.
Yeah.
But bro, I'm very short on time, so I'm gonna close off the stream in a second. So is there anything you want to close on?
Shit. Well, if you're looking for a good fighting game to play, go play Exert, bro. Shit's gas. I swear.
Oh, I'm not a Guilty Gear
Yeah.
guy. I
Or-
like the old. I liked. Is it called Excel?
Yeah. Wait.
Axel Core or
Accent
something?
Core. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
Accent
last
Core.
one I actually spent time playing. But other than that, haven't really spent too much time on Guilty Gear.
Yeah. If not, KOF 15 is really gas too. It's a really good game too.
I've got KOF 15. I've played it for a bit. Wasn't too into it. I still like 2002.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I know this is unpopular. I like Maximum Impact. I know most people are gonna flame me for that,
Yeah,
but Maximum
yeah.
Impact is a fun game.
I have a couple of friends who are into that stuff too. I mean, I shame them for it, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
All right, bro. Well, I'm gonna get you out of here now and then close off the stream. So I appreciate you jumping on.
yeah, thanks for having me.
on, Mike. I appreciate it as well, brother.
No worries, Tom. I'll catch you in a bit.
All right, later.
All right, guys. Well, very sorry to end it so abruptly like that. Now, before I go anywhere, let me just say, okay, before rumors start, no, it's not a booty call. All right, there are some things more important in life than booty, believe it or not. But thanks for the donations and for sticking around for this long. Tomorrow we will have the Soul Calibur stream, so please show up for that, and so let's see if we can get some support behind Soul Calibur. And it will be at 7 p.m. UK time, and it will be on the PlayStation. I've put it everywhere, but you always get people show up saying, "Oh, I didn't know." Now you know it's on PlayStation. So yes, there are more important things than booty. Person with the Korean text, I don't know what your name is, but yeah. I'm gonna be rusty as well because I haven't played as well in ages. I was like an Algol main. If you put me on Soul Calibur 5, all of you will get cut down immediately. Soul Calibur 6 though, gonna be major rust. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Appreciate you all. take care of yourselves, and enjoy this little Soul Calibur intro that I put together for tomorrow. I'll put as the outro.
Transcending history and the world, a tale of souls and swords eternally retold.